entire show without him.
I mean, pretty much did this morning since I didn't have things to use.
You could have said it differently, because it's like every other day. What's going on, everybody? We are live. It's the NBA Deeper Dive, Wednesday, November 29th. I am Josh Engleman. I'm joined by Adam Scherer. We are brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Got a 7-game slate ahead of us. Little bit of news has come in, including Fred VanVleet getting to rest those tired bones today. He is out. I bet I hope he gets a nice nap throughout the middle of the day. I can't imagine he enjoys not playing basketball at night, given the fact that he plays 40 minutes a night for the past 6 years.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Was like, we talked about it the other day. It's pretty obvious that the dude likes to play basketball and just wants to be out there all game. So yeah. I kind of doubt that he is thrilled with, you're not playing today.
I just think obviously they've been playing Aaron Holiday a little bit more and he's a thing for today's slate, but it is an interesting situation because obviously Aaron Holiday has been around a minute. He's not some new guy working his way to be the backup point guard for the Rockets. Fred VanVleet just keeps finding himself in situations where the coach is obviously like, fuck, I guess we got to play Fred VanVleet for 40 minutes. We got nothing behind him. It's Malachi Flynn and Aaron Holiday and all these other guys where it's just like, we're better off if we don't have a second point guard.
Yeah.
He's not getting any Tyus Jones behind him or anything like that. They're like, no, you're going to play 40 minutes and just enjoy it. It's a weird slate, but we did create a little bit of value since this morning in that Fred VanVleet news. Other than that, it still looks a lot like it did this morning. Are you ready to dive into this bad boy? Actually, we got a super chat first. Stay odd with the super chat. Shout out to all the promos lately. I sniped the Sims deal a couple weeks back and can't complain. Took first in the $1 last night thanks to the tools. Good to see. It's a tough contest to win. That's a lot of entries.
Yeah, definitely. Congrats.
That's a big one.
Am I echoing really bad?
Not to me.
Okay. It sounds like shit here, but as long as it's not coming through.
No, I don't hear it. I mean, your voice in general is unappealing, but it's not because of an echo.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not really in any position to say that. There's no way that my voice has to be the most annoying voice to others as well as me. Oh, wow. That's a very long string of messages here. Oh, yeah, we're not going to address that, but Jokic averaging 80 fantasy points in 2 games for Houston does not make this any less of a bad matchup.
Yeah, I mean,
Jokic the Lakers
is still really good.
Yeah, it's talent. Josh looking like Jim from The Office. I don't mind looking like Jim. Like now, you mean? After he's done those Jack Ryan movies and he's all swollen and shit?
I can assure you that is not what they mean.
No, it's probably not. I definitely look like someone that could get Emily Blunt to marry them. Right? That's what we're talking about? I think that's what we're talking about. I'm just going to assume that that's what you meant. So yes, I am John Krasinski. I think that's his name. I'm not entirely sure. But only after The Office when he's yoked. Yeah. Lakers are 7.5 point favorites in Detroit. 229 total. 11% ownership to AD is the high man on the DraftKings side. Single digits across the board to everybody else. On the FanDuel end, it's 17 to Anthony Davis and 12 to D'Angelo Russell. As I look at the injury report for this game, I can't find it. AD probable, Cam Reddish probable. Welcome back. LeBron James questionable. I have 1 share of Reddish and 1 share of Russell. I am finding it very hard to get this team just in general right now, not just today, last day as well. Don't mind it, but it really is just AD and LeBron to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think Reddish from a value standpoint, if he starts, looks okay. Russell looks okay, but LeBron and Davis, I think, are the guys that you would really like to get to, and that goes without saying. It's still relatively difficult on this slate, but only 9,800 for Davis on DraftKings, 9,900 for LeBron. A lot more opportunity costs for Davis because he is center only than LeBron, but Davis does project a bit better as well. On FanDuel, you have a higher price tag on Davis, but he does also get power forward eligibility, which is nice. I just finished updating my lineups, so I can look and see where I'd be getting to if the slate started right now, but I wouldn't anticipate getting to a ton of the Lakers. It is a good spot against the Pistons, but I'm getting a little bit more than I expected. I am getting to 23% Davis, so I'm like 2x the field on him. I'm getting to 19% D'Angelo Russell, which kind of surprises me, but I don't hate it at 6,600 on this slate, just because value on this slate is not great. So I don't hate the idea of kind of just getting over the field on some of these mid-range guys that at least have some relative upside. Russell, the minutes are a concern, especially with Reddish back, whether or not he's going to be in the closing lineup. But at 6,600 against Detroit, I don't hate the idea of getting some of that. I'm getting the 13% Reddish, which is slightly over the field, but more in line with our optimal percentage on him. 9% LeBron, so a little over the field there, and then very, very small amounts of Prince and Reeves. So I am actually getting to the Lakers a bit more than the field. I don't mind it. I mean, it's a good matchup. The prices are certainly reasonable. My guess is just that as we go through the slate, I'm going to be lighter on some of the chalk than you are. Yeah. But this to me is a very similar slate to yesterday for the most part, where it's not that chalk is bad. It's that the difference between the most popular plays today and the pivots around them is just smaller than on slates where somebody major is ruled out and you just are going to have guys projecting 8 points better than anyone around them.
Yeah, this has been a weird thing for me for the Lakers as of late. I'm really curious to see how this ends up shaking out. I thought I would actually get a little bit more Reddish, but we're talking about a guy at 0.69 fantasy points per minute over the past 30 days. Like, he has just been atrocious. I mean, like, he's just been himself. I guess that's probably the easier way to describe him. It's not like he's good like ever.
His job on this team isn't to do a lot of things that are good for fantasy.
No, and that's really the problem with the Lakers in general. It's like after you take LeBron's slice of the pie and Anthony Davis's slice of the pie, there's not too much pie left. And D'Angelo Russell eats like he's fat, but he's not.
Yeah, I mean, and Russell's been fine. 16 games with LeBron and Davis this year, 1.04 DraftKings points per minute, 31 minutes per game, 22.5% usage rate, 29% assist percentage. And to your point, once you already have Davis and LeBron doing everything that they do, when you throw in a near 30% assist percentage for Russell and a 22.5% usage rate, nobody else is being asked to do anything that involves scoring the basketball.
No. Now, the problem with Russell is he's so unreliable defensively that he's just like playing his way out of what should be 34 minutes a night, like clockwork. If he were just like a half step better defensively, he would always be out there. And now he's in a situation where like he's going to get traded because he's a great contract and end up somewhere else. And like, he's going to get paid by like the Pistons.
Yeah. It's so easy to just close with Reddish and Reeves, like Reeves over Russell.
Yeah, absolutely. It's harder when these guys are out. Like if Vanderbilt, Gabe Vincent and Rui were around, there's a decent chance D'Angelo Russell's playing like 24 minutes a night. He needs to be really happy Gabe Vincent isn't healthy. Yeah. Not that I think Gabe Vincent's good, but like Russell is just uniquely set up to be the only guy that does his job. Oof. Pistons side. 27% ownership coming into Jaden Ivey, 12 to Jalen Duren, single digits across the board on DraftKings after that, 14 to Ivey, where he's 5,800 on FanDuel. Still no Boyan, Harris, Monty Morris, Stanley Moody, not with the G League team. He is with the real team. Not that it matters. Actually, I shouldn't even call their G League team the non-real team at this point. Jaden Ivey is the star of the show here, though. I have a ton. This price doesn't move. He's the same dude he's been, around a fantasy point per minute. You get the MPE. He looks so easy to get to today.
Yeah, he does. And I'm a little below the field, but nothing too crazy. 27% owned. We have him with a 17% chance of being optimal, 5,700. Point guard, shooting guard. He is my highest owned guy from the Pistons. I have 20%.
Yeah.
No problems with that. I'm getting to a lot of Cade, which I think is interesting. And I certainly don't mind. You said you are?
Yeah. I mean, relatively speaking, 14%. He's 3% owned. So, that's a lot.
Yeah, I have 16%. So, same ballpark. And that's another one where it just kind of makes me think that, I haven't looked at the teams we haven't talked about yet, but I'm just wondering if I'm going more balanced today and maybe just not getting as much of the top end guys, but also maybe not getting quite as much of the just really, really crappy value. Getting to somebody like Cade, if that's how I'm building lineups, I think it makes sense to be getting to somebody like Cade where he's not the best point per dollar projection at 8,500. And that's why he's not getting much ownership, but he's still certainly capable of going for 50 plus and being that guy where, people that do pay up for one of the more expensive guards, it's just like, oh, well, they're useless because Cade did the same thing. So, from a range of outcome standpoint, I think he's a pretty interesting tournament option. I'm getting to 13% livers, which I hate, but I get it. He's 4,100. He's not getting ownership. And this is just another one of those situations where the guys that are getting ownership today, Aaron Holiday, Nicholas Batum, Patrick Beverly, Isaiah Livers sucks from a fantasy standpoint, and I don't feel good about rostering him, but you can't tell me that you're confident in those other guys either.
He's at a crisp -4 offensive EPM in his 100 minutes since he's been back.
Yeah, Moody closed over him the other day, which was fantastic.
Oh, this is a weird team. Are you willing to take any shot? This is going to be a ridiculous question. Any interest in Wiseman? I know I shouldn't ask. Okay. It's just a day where Bagley got the DNP CD. We have no value. James Wiseman is 3K. There's a minutes range that you could project James Wiseman to where it's just like, oh shit, he's showing up.
Right. The case to be made for Wiseman, if you just like don't mind burning money and you really want to go this route, is like you said, there's no value. Wiseman's minimum salary. He only played 9 minutes last game with the Bagley DNP, but in the first half, he played 7.5 minutes. If he were to have repeated that, you're talking about 15 or so minutes of an unowned 3K guy on a slate with no value. The problem is that one, Bagley could just be back. Two, even without Bagley, he did play 9 minutes. You can't just throw that away and say it's not going to happen again. So I'm not getting there. I don't find it necessary. It's
agreed.
But if you wanted to just say, hey, I'm playing one lineup in the $15 100K to first, let's see if I can just, catch lightning in a bottle. That would be the case for him.
Yeah. I just had to bring it up since he got that rotation and Bagley was a healthy scratch. At that point, we have to discuss it. Don't want to discuss it though, because it feels ultra disgusting. But yeah, I'm joining you on that Cade Island. That feels good. 61% Ivy, by the way. So I'll be in on that one.
Yeah. I'm right around the field on a Star Thompson too at 6,500. 6% owned. I have 7%. I'm getting 6% Duran, who is getting 12% ownership. We have him with about a 7% chance of being optimal at 6,900. So that's probably a spot where I'm just getting to some other centers, but Duran still looks fine. Back in the starting lineup last game, played a ton of minutes.
1,400 people in the door. We're already up over 100 likes, but I wouldn't hate it if you guys hit that button. Again, schedule for the rest of the day. It's quite simple. NBA Live Before Lock coming up next, 6 p.m. Take you all the way up until 7 o'clock. It's easy stuff. This is a big-time NBA day. I also want you guys to use our avatar at either DraftKings, FanDuel, or wherever you're playing. Go to stokastic.com/avatar. Grab that picture, load it in. If you finish in the top 3 of a contest with 5,000 or more entries, you get a month of Stokastic, whatever you're looking for, up to a $200 value. Grab the Sims package for a month if you want. You just have to tweet that win to @StokasticHOF. We want to show off how you did, and we want people to know that people win with our stuff. It's a win-win situation for both of us, and it costs you $0, not a single cent. So head on over to stokastic.com/avatar or click the link in the description. Grab that logo and load it up, whatever site you're playing on.
To answer Overnight Millionaire's question, I played the $15 fadeaway on DraftKings and got first and second.
Yeah. By the way, so this is the second time I've seen somebody ask that question sort of and mention pools. Do you have any idea what they mean?
No, other than there's a tab on DraftKings that is called pools.
I have never clicked on that tab.
I don't think I have either.
I'm going to click on that tab. Pools. Are they ever 100,000?
I don't know what they are.
They're all free that I have in front of me, at least. They're all like questions. Spiciest picks presented by Campbell's Chunky Soup for week 13 in the NFL. Which team will have more chunk plays? 15-plus yard rush or 20-plus yard passes on offense? The Lions, the Niners, or they'll have the same amount? And then there's like 20 more questions. So it's like a GPP of opinions. I didn't know that was a thing. New to pools, check out this brief guide. I'm going to click that X and never read that again. Your Washington Wizards are 10-point dogs in Orlando, 234 total, highest total on the slate. Highest owned guy for Washington. You can say it's either 5% Daniel Gafford, 5% Danilo Gallinari, or 5% Kyle Kuzma. I have one of those guys, but I do not have much of the Washington Wizards. This is a pace neutral-ish to down spot for Washington, but a tough matchup here defensively. Orlando's defense has been fantastic. I only have 10% of Gafford with one lineup of Poole, Avdia, and Koulibaly. What are you doing with your Wizards?
I'm getting a little bit more than you are, less than I was this morning. 5% Gafford. We have him with an 8% chance of being optimal. He's my highest owned guy from Washington at 15%. Certainly don't mind that. You're going to be seeing ownership coming into Goga at a cheaper salary, Biombo at a cheaper salary. Gafford's not that different from a range of outcome standpoint. He just doesn't project as well, and he's a little bit more expensive. But again, in these large field tournaments, I have no issue just playing a little bit more Gafford than the field. I'm getting to Koulibaly 13%. I'm getting to Shamit and Gallo 9%. Those are very, very similar to the Isaiah Livers play. It is just simply getting away from the very bad players that are popular and playing equally or even more bad players that are just less popular. Koulibaly getting, where'd he go? Koulibaly getting 2% ownership, Gallo getting 5%, Shamit getting none. There's no case to be made for like why they are great plays. It is just simply they are not named Batum or Beverly or whoever else people are playing. I have 6% or 7% Kuzma, which puts me slightly over the field. But yeah, I'm getting a little bit more Washington than you, but nothing crazy. Nothing is going to make or break my night. And I don't have a reason for any of them other than they're low owned and the prices are cheap.
Orlando should be pretty different, although we'll see where you are. I know I was much higher. I did okay, I'm going to have to dig into this one. I did go through them with a fine-tooth comb a little bit earlier. Maybe not fine enough. 20% ownership to Cole Anthony, Franz Wagner, Goga Batadze, and Paolo Banchero. We've got 10-ish coming into Gary Harris, Jalen Suggs. We've got 22 coming into the high man, which is Goga. Scattered ownership to everybody else. I'm just going to throw it to you in general because Orlando against Washington is a fantastic team to try to roster. What are you getting to here?
Yeah, it's a great spot to get to. And I'm getting to Orlando a lot. It's just I'm not getting a lot of any one player. I don't think I'm over the field right now on anybody except slightly over on Joe Ingles and Jonathan Isaac, which based on the theme for me so far, I'm just playing any low-owned cheap guys you can. So that shouldn't be surprising. But it's not like I'm taking crazy stands here. Banchero's getting 19. Like all of Banchero, Franz Wagner, Cole Anthony, Batadze are between 17 and 22% projected ownership on DraftKings. Suggs is a little bit lower at 13%. I have 19% Batadze, 17% Banchero, 11% apiece on Gary Harris and Franz Wagner, 9% on Cole Anthony. And then I'm getting like 9% Ingles, 7% Mo Wagner, 6% Suggs, 5% Isaac. So slightly under the field on most of the popular guys, slightly over on the not popular guys, but I'm not taking any crazy stands here where I'm just, not playing any of these guys or where I'm, just jamming them in.
So of the three guys that I got a bunch of, I'm happy about two of them and nervous about one. I have 34% of Paolo. Love it. Can't mind that in any way. I have 38% of Franz. Love it. Can't mind that in any way. If I'm going to have 30+% of two of the dudes in Orlando, I absolutely want it to be Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner. So right out of the gate, I'm happy. I'm still getting to 37% Goga. I went over everything. I dropped rates. I made sure I got him right, and I'm still there. I don't like it. It feels aggressive. I am going to continue with it. I'm neutral on Cole Anthony at 19. I'm a little over on Suggs at 21. You mentioned him, though, as well. I have 15% John Isaac right now.
I don't mind that on this slate. He's not going to play. The issue is he's not going to play the minutes.
Yeah.
But he could play like 18, 19 minutes. That's possible. It's not the projection. He should be projected around 15, but it's at least possible. He's over a fantasy point per minute guy. When you compare him to just how bad so many of these cheap plays are, it's fine.
When he plays, he's a good fantasy guy. That is helpful information. We're not trotting out some other 0.7, jag off. Like he can be out there and do those things. Yeah. And the Q tag makes me very nervous.
15 minutes against the Wizards is like 18 minutes against anybody else.
It is. So I don't hate that I have 15%. I'd rather it be like 9. Just like mentally would help me a little bit. I'm neutral on Mo Wagner as well. I have a share of Gary Harris. I don't mind being light there, but I'm very happy with the stands on Franz and Paolo Banchero. That feels super correct to me. It's just unequivocally, Orlando is a great team to get to today.
Agreed. I mean, I think they're going a little bit overowned, but
sure. But like they should be getting ownership up and down the board because facing Washington just unlocks that.
Yeah, this is just one of the examples of there's different ways you can approach this. I don't think there's anything wrong with aggressively targeting Orlando in the spot. You're just going to have to find other ways to be different in your lineups. I also don't think there's anything wrong with, given their chances of being optimal pretty much across the board are just a bit lower, like 2/3 of their ownership. I don't think there's anything wrong with being like, okay, well, I'm obviously playing them, but not getting it doesn't necessarily look like the spot where it's an edge to just be going aggressively over.
Sure. Yeah, I'm very happy I'm not just like double the field on Gary Harris, Ingles, and Mo Wagner under on Banchero and Franz. Like that would make me uncomfortable.
Wait, you mean like I am?
Yes, exactly. I was hoping you were like catching what I was saying. Anything else for the Magic?
No, just great spot overall.
Yeah. The Phoenix Suns are 3-point favorites in Toronto, 227. That's a Q tag on Grayson Allen, Q tag on Kevin Durant. I feel like Kevin Durant's got to be playing for Phoenix to be 3-point favorites in Toronto. That's just a lot harder when it's just Devin Booker and a bunch of like guys that exist in Phoenix. 5% ownership to Drew Eubanks is the high mark. There's no one higher than that on the FanDuel side. I do not have a single share of Phoenix.
I have more than you, but not much. 6% Grayson Allen's my highest owned guy, 5% Nurk, 2% Gordon, 1% Eubanks. I'm not getting to much here. It's just tough, especially, and right now, Durant and Allen are projected in for us. If they were to sit, then it makes things marginally better, but salaries have already adjusted a bit as well. It's not an appealing matchup against Toronto. The pricing isn't particularly favorable. So there's nothing that really stands out to me here other than I'm just landing on random, small amounts of Nurk, Allen in particular.
Jacob Lee says, WTF, I check ever so often, and it's always these two. Can we get Lofty? I don't think Lofty's going to be on for a bit. You won't get Lofty. You won't get Lofty until, I don't know, late January, probably. So don't hold your breath.
I love the, this is our show. Well, it's actually me and Lofty's show, so it's fair. But it's during football season, it's our show. And it's like just turning on a show and being like, I wish they had different characters this week.
I'm going to let Lofty know later this year that he should take the path to live before lock since I play a lot. And I should continue to have that extra hour. But Lofty is on the NFL shows and he's catching babies right now, actually.
Imagine I have. Who I am.
Wait, what?
I said, imagine asking who I am.
It's even funnier considering that we've been doing the shows on this channel for 5 years.
To be fair, I was
not
for a while, but
I guess. But like not for I guess.
Yeah, I mean not for basketball, but like if anybody tuned in during this, like started watching during the summer and then took the last month off, I'd be a new face.
It's funny that he thinks looking like you're 12 is like a detriment.
Yeah, I appreciate the compliment.
Yeah. But surprisingly, most people are like trying to look younger and youthful. Nobody's like, you know what? I saw Jim the other day. Dude looks like he's 97 years old. It's fantastic.
Yeah, especially in this industry where the stereotype is that we're all just glued, and it's mostly true, glued to our computers and never going outside and not doing anything to take care of ourselves. Not looking older than I am is pretty nice.
You should see all the liver spots. It's terrible. It's great too at the same time. Come on, what are we doing here? Paul shit himself like an old man. Toronto Raptors on the opposite side. 12% ownership coming into Dennis Schroeder, 15 to Jake Puddle, 17 to Schroeder, and 18 to Siakam on FanDuel. None of those guys are the guys that I have the most of. We need to have a bit of a conversation. But first, what are you doing for Toronto?
I forgot we're doing a basketball show. Getting to a bit. certainly more than I'm getting to Phoenix. Schroeder's my highest owned guy right now. I have 16%. Fields at 12, optimal percentage at 14, 6,400. Again, just in that D'Angelo Russell price range that I think is pretty useful. Getting the 14% Siakam. He sucked yesterday, but 8,400 still a reasonable price tag. Has been playing better lately in general. He's only 5% owned, 6% owned, so I do like that as a contrarian play. And then getting 8% Pirtle, 5% Anunoby. Pretty much around the field on Anunoby. I'm actually a little bit under on Pirtle, but I don't mind that. He's getting 15% ownership. Seems a little bit high, probably.
I have 35% OG Anunoby. The question, my real problem here is I don't totally know why he's not getting more ownership. Like, Anunoby. I get it. Yeah, like I understand, 35 is aggressive here, but 6,100 minutes have been up lately. I have him at 0.89 fantasy points per minute for the game. I don't think that's like terribly crazy.
No, that's what he's at for the season.
Something is just jamming him into lineups for me, though. This is the RJ Barrett corollary, I guess. What else is around
how'd that
him?
work out?
Not well, but the others, the day before worked out when I was just jamming everybody. Okay, so like I don't have. Okay, 29.4.
Okay, yeah, I mean you're just higher than the industry
in 33 minutes. 0.89 fantasy
it's
points. It's
mostly your points per minute, I think.
Don't really feel like that should be all that different. Like
we have 30. We have them for 31.5 minutes. I looked a couple other places while you were talking, like 33, but just lower projection.
That's interesting. I'm gonna have to take another look at it. Like I went through it all. Like I don't have any DeAnthony Melton. Same price tag. I have obviously more Anunoby than like I have Jabari Smith projected the same. I'm not getting Keontae George, same price tag, 13% owned. Like I'd rather have Anunoby than all of the guys that I'm naming, given their ownership in that range.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of the guys you named. Well, at least of George and whoever the first one you said was, Melton. But I have enough where it's why I'm not getting more Anunoby.
Yeah. Like, what do we have Schroeder projected for?
31.2.
How many minutes?
$30.9.
Interesting. Like, as of late, OG Anunoby is playing more minutes than Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah, we have him projected for like a minute more.
Yeah. Those guys are that's an interesting dynamic between just those two guys in a similar price range at like both at a guard position. I think I prefer Anunoby to Schroeder.
I think I prefer Schroeder just for the upside.
Sure.
1.03 DraftKings points per minute for the season.
Yeah, he's been much better than like his normal baselines have been heading into the year. Oh God, OG Anunoby stand incoming.
Are you getting Siakam?
No, just 7%, like nothing crazy.
Okay. Yeah, see, you're at the field. I'm a little bit over, or I'm like 2x.
And I would happily take some more here. That is so much OG Anunoby. What are his props at? I got to look at it. We've got some time. Got to work out that quesadilla burp too. All right, so I've got OG Anunoby projected for 15.9 real points. His points prop for today is 13.5. Almost full bucket ahead of OG Anunoby there. 20% usage rate? Okay, we're going to have to take a look at it. Anything else you want to touch on for Toronto? I didn't expect to have such a huge stand on somebody coming out of this game. This feels a lot like that one's just different for me.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think it's crazy based on the playing time, and he's not a bad fantasy guy. To me, it's just kind of a random stand. Like,
yes, I agree.
He's good, but like if you had like 10 to 15%, I think that would be like perfect. When you're playing 30 whatever, it feels aggressive. But again, that's not a problem. It's not a bad thing. It's just feels kind of random.
I don't know what I'm gonna have to change, and that's the tricky part. So We'll dig into that in a bit. But first, we're going to talk about Underdog. They are the sponsor of this show. Easiest place to start. Well, two very easy places to start. One, first match deposit bonus up to $100. You put in 100, you get 100. Right out of the gate. That's just an awesome way to start. You always want more money. This is a way to get more money. Second, they've got a free square going on tomorrow, pick'em style. Dak Prescott, more than 0.5 yards. As long as he doesn't get injured on the first snap, you're going to be fine there and pick up a dub. They've got everything you're looking for. Pick'em contests in non-legal sports betting states. Daily fantasy contests with large field GPPs. Best ball for football and basketball and probably other things that I don't even know best ball exists for. Playoff drafts for the NBA, the NHL, golf majors. It's a one-stop shop. You can do just about everything that you want to do at Underdog and get a little bit of bonus cash when you do it. Click the link in chat or in the description of this video and go ahead, sign up at Underdog. The Utah Jazz are 4.5-point dogs in Memphis, 224 total, 13% ownership coming into $6,100 Keontae George, 20 on FanDuel, where he's 5,700 with an MPE. Basically no ownership coming in anywhere else. Unfortunately for me, I'm not getting to the $5,900 Walker Kessler. That'll probably only happen if he gets named the starter. I know you're not. So what are you doing with the rest of Utah?
So I'm getting my highest owned guy here. The only guy I have in double digits right now is Keontae George. I have 16%, Fields at 13. We have him with an 18% chance of being optimal. So pretty much right where I want to be. And that's another reason why I'm around the field on Anunoby instead of jamming him in, is I am getting to George at that price tag as well. I'm getting to Russell at that price tag like we talked about before. I'm getting to Schroeder. So that's why I think we're different on Anunoby. Other than that, I'm not getting much of anything. I have 7% Yurtseven right now. That is assuming that he starts. I have no confidence that he's actually starting, but that's how he's projected right now. He's 5K. If he does start, he's going to be low owned. I don't mind having a little bit of that. I have 5% Fontecchio, 5% Kessler, 4% Sexton. Or no, sorry, I'm reading the wrong column. 4% Fontecchio, 1% of Kessler, Sexton, Collins, Clarkson. So not getting to much Utah. Kessler, though, is really interesting to me just because he's played 2 games since coming back now. They said before the first game that he was not going to start, essentially just to help them manage his minutes, but that he wasn't on a hard cap. He played like 21 minutes in that one. He played 26 in the next one, including closing. It would not surprise me at all if he starts this game. And if he does, I think he should be projected around 27, 28 minutes. If he comes off the bench, I think projecting something like 25 makes sense, but he certainly could play more. He's a good point per minute guy. The price tag is reasonable. So I think he's definitely someone to pay attention. You need to pay attention to the starting lineup because if he starts at 5,900, he looks good. Even though he hasn't been as good this season from a real life standpoint, he's still producing fantasy points over a fantasy point per minute. And the minutes are there if he starts, especially.
Yeah. I have 4% Fontecchio. That's the high mark I have for the Jazz.
Yeah. And similarly for Yurtseven, if he does start, I think you're expecting a 48-minute split between him and Kessler, with Kessler getting the higher end. But at 5K and basically no ownership, you're still talking about around a 1.05 to 1.1 fantasy point per minute guy that can certainly play his way into a few more minutes potentially.
Memphis side of this one is a little different. This is a giant stand for me. 20% ownership coming into Biyombo, 30 to Bane, 45 to Jaren Jackson, and another 30 to Santi Aldama. I really thought after making those changes, I was going to have Desmond Bane in like 90% of lineups, and I still only have 47. I do have 73% Jaren Jackson Jr., though, 40 of Biyombo and 30 of Santi Aldama. Those 4 guys specifically look great. The ownership on the rest of these guys has really tamed a bit. Still 9% to Jalen Noel, which is interesting. 11 to your boy Derrick Rose.
I had one thing I wanted to mention because I saw Marcus say it in chat, that Kessler played 26 minutes despite being in foul trouble with 5 fouls. Not entirely. So he subbed out. He picked up his 3rd foul with 8 minutes and 26 seconds to go in the second quarter, and he did sub out there. But if you compare it to his second half rotation, that probably cost him like a minute. He didn't sub out when he picked up his 5th foul. He played through it and then subbed out when he normally would, and then subbed back in the close. So yeah, he probably technically lost a minute there. in the first half, but it wasn't like he lost anything substantial.
No, he was coming out at the next stoppage, probably one way or the other.
And as far as Memphis goes, I'm getting to them. Good spot, shorthanded team as usual. Some of the salaries have adjusted, but this is sort of like Orlando to me. I'm getting there. I'm not getting quite as much as the field because the field is getting there extremely aggressively. Jaren Jackson Jr. pulling 44% ownership on DraftKings. We have him with about a 26% chance of being optimal. So based on likelihood of being in the optimal lineup, still one of the best plays on the slate. I'm getting 25%. I just am light compared to the field. Similar with Aldama, he is getting 32% ownership, 26% chance of being optimal. I have 27%. Bane, 31% ownership, 19% chance of being optimal. I have 23%. So I'm very similar to Orlando. I'm much more in line with the chances of these guys being optimal than the field, but that doesn't mean they're bad plays. It doesn't mean that you can't build your lineups in a way where you're just playing a lot of Jaren Jackson and you're getting away from some other relatively popular plays that I'm getting to. So it is a good spot for them. They do look good. I just don't have quite as much as the field. Biyombo's getting 21% ownership. I have 12%. I don't have any issue with that. There's just a lot of good centers. So, I'm a little bit over the field on Yurtseven. I'm a little bit over on Gafford. And that's costing me some Biyombo, which in large field tournaments, I don't care. I think he's a viable cash option for sure. And he's a perfectly fine tournament play. It's just, I don't mind moving to some of those other guys. I'm getting 9% Derrick Rose as a completely not confidence-inspiring value play. Zaire Williams is showing up 5%. The other thing that I think we do need to pay attention to, we talked about Walker Kessler on the other side of this game and paying attention to if he starts, make sure Santi Aldama is starting this game because he did not start the second half of their last game. David Roddy did. I assume Aldama is going to remain in the starting lineup. He's played well. He's been a good fantasy producer also. But if he's coming off the bench, I would be getting off of your $6,400 Aldama.
How much of Bane and Jackson did you say you had?
I have 27 Aldama, 25 Jackson, 23 Bane.
Okay. Come join me in the giant Jaren Jackson Jr. Desmond Bane stands. Yeah, when I started looking at Bane and I bumped his assist rate, I was just like, he's going to be everywhere with that shooting guard small forward, but everywhere is only 47.
Mildly interesting too. I've been looking across 150 lineups. If I were to cut it down to 50, Aldama becomes 30%, Jackson becomes 30%, Bane actually drops to 18. But mildly interesting that those two guys, and I would expect it. Like the more lineups I play, the more ways I'm probably finding to pivot.
For sure. Yeah, either way, those four dudes for Memphis pulling ownership, good plays today. Aldama, the only semi question mark. For Philly, they are 2.5-point favorites in New Orleans, 230 total. For the Sixers, not much to talk about here. We have no Daniel House, no Kelly Oubre, no Jaden Springer. 21% ownership coming into Nick Batum, 13 to DeAnthony Melton. They are the two guys above 10%. God, this is so disgusting. It's just, we're naming the wrong dudes getting owned. 5% ownership coming into Robert Covington, who I have 23% of, and I'm going to do whatever I can to get off of that right now. Robert Covington is my livers, evidently. Or I think you named somebody else shitty that you had a bunch of. What are you doing with Philly? I've named
several of them, but Covington is also one.
I don't have Embiid or Maxey, and that makes me feel bad.
I have 9% Embiid. I have 7% Maxey. So, I'm getting there a little bit, but it's just tough to get to those salaries. I'm slightly over the field on them, but nothing too crazy. I think Embiid is a very strong play if you can get there. About 1.8 DraftKings points per minute this year. New Orleans is a relatively fast team. They don't defend particularly well. So Embiid looks great if you can find a way to get there. But, we've been naming these value guys and they are not particularly exciting. Batum is my highest owned guy from the team at 26%. So a little over the field. We have him with actually a 29% chance of being optimal, which just speaks to how bad value is on this slate. Covington showing up 15% for me. Fields at 5%. I have zero confidence in Robert Covington, but he's 3,700. He's 5% owned. There are enough cheap, viable plays on this slate that some of these guys are going to be pretty good plays. So I do just like the idea of spreading out exposure to some of the low owned ones and just hoping to get lucky. But that's all it is. There's no secret. I'm looking at this going, oh man, Covington's 5% owned. This is a great play. It's just simply let's put myself in a position to get lucky on Covington or Koulibaly or Ingles or whatever it may be. So those are the two I'm getting the most of. And then, like I said, 9% Embiid, 7% Maxey, 7% Beverly, 7% Harris, and 7% Melton. So I am a little bit under the field on Melton, which is makes sense, I think, given that I was over the field on Russell and I'm getting Schroeder and all of that at that same price point. But Batum's the guy I'm getting the most. Also, who the field is getting the most.
Ooh, this is unfun. Unfun. I'm going to get off of a little bit of that Covington. I dropped his projection by a minute, so maybe that'll bring me down to like 10% instead of 23. That's the one that I've seen so far that really like makes me not happy. The good news is we definitely don't have to talk about the New Orleans Pelicans. CJ McCollum is probable. Doubtful tag on Trey Murphy and Matt Ryan. I will say doubtful tag on Trey Murphy is very interesting. Him coming back is good because he's a big piece of the Pelicans. They should want him out there soon. 1% ownership.
We will go a month without rostering anybody from this team, but it's good for the Pelicans.
Yes. 1% ownership to Ingram, Jones, and Zion. Now, Ingram's still 8,100 on FanDuel. Zion's 8,300 on FanDuel. You can play those guys there. I don't have a single share of the Pelicans on DraftKings. I don't even know how to justify it, honestly.
Yeah, I have out of 150 lineups if the slate started right now, I would have one lineup that had Herb Jones, and that is the only thing I would have from the Pels. I have no idea how to get to this team, particularly on DraftKings, where Zion is 9K power forward, Ingram shooting guard only 9,100. I have no idea how you get there. Even if your case is like, well, they're good at basketball and they're 1% owned, just play Tyrese Maxey, who's better from a fantasy standpoint and like 5% owned.
It's just crazy here with CJ back. Like they don't even look good with CJ out, which is even crazier. But
their salaries are correct, if not a little bit high for McCollum being out.
Right. Yeah. The cheesy sloth asked a question, and I know we don't have the answer to it, but I want to hit it anyway. When getting to Triple J, are you playing him at center or power forward? I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of eyeball it quickly, but my assumption is usually power forward because, yeah, it's mostly forward, especially on this slate, because there is some of the best value is at center, whether that's Batadze or Biyombo or Gafford or Yurtseven / Kessler, whatever you want to call it. Some of the best value is there. So, yeah, I mean, scrolling through my Jaren Jackson lineups right now, I still haven't found one where I'm playing him at center, actually.
Which isn't terribly surprising. And also, like, just based on the time of the game with 3 games before it, you're probably playing him a lot at forward, too, not just power forward.
Yeah, it's a lot of power forward, a lot of forward. I finally just found one at center. So that's one of those things where I wouldn't be forcing it. You know, like if you're using Fantasy Cruncher, for example, there's no reason to set it to power forward only.
Right.
Whatever your process is should be taking care of that for you.
And the most likely scenario is always going to be to the smaller position for all of these guys, because on a per minute basis, the bigger you are, the better that position is at producing fantasy points. The average fantasy point score for a center is higher than it is for a point guard. So you're naturally going to push people. It's just like regular basketball. If you can guard down, like that's great. And they want you to be bigger and guard smaller if you can.
Well, it kind of funnels though. Like you're generally going to be playing any point guards that you can at shooting guard. You're going to be playing your shooting guards at small forward. You're playing your power forwards at small forward.
Sure.
You're trying to play anybody you can at small forward. Then you're trying to play anybody at shooting guard or power forward. Then it's center and point guard, basically.
Yeah, that's a good point. Point guard changes that a little bit. Like shooting guard, small forward is a crapshoot. You're getting that guy, wherever that shows up. But yeah, if you're at small forward, power forward, you're funneling to small forward. I mean, Marv, the only thing that I meant there is that I don't look at it and I don't pay attention to it. I would never know what position Jaren Jackson is in my lineups. It's not a concern of mine during our builds.
Right.
Adam doesn't know that.
I'm pretty confident that you were able to guess that it would probably be Ford.
Yeah. Yeah. I did not know the answer, but it's just, that's a different kind of question.
Herb Jones.
Nothing else for the Pels?
Maxey, so good luck there. I don't know what that's even referring to.
I don't know.
I don't know if that's good luck to my one Herb Jones lineup or my 5% or 7%, whatever it was, of Maxey lineups.
I saw something earlier today that like he's on pace to be the first guy to ever average like 3 miles run a game or something.
Maxey or Jones?
Maxi. He's averaging the second most minutes behind Butler in like 2014 over the past however many years. So we'll see where that ends up. Nothing else for the Pels, right? I don't even know why I'm asking. Clearly, the answer is
I think
no.
you mentioned it. They're going to look somewhat better on FanDuel.
Yeah, you can still play
great,
Brandon Ingram and Zion at 81 and 8,300. Those prices are what they should be.
Right, yeah. 13% ownership to Zion, 10% to Ingram. Still nobody else getting anything.
2,500 people in here, 300 plus likes. Hit that thumbs up one last time. Let's get up and over that 400 mark at the very least as we go to the 9-point underdog Houston Rockets. At 9 points, I have to assume that Nikola Jokic is playing in this game. I'm going to assume that Aaron Gordon is playing in this game. Based on the props, I got a sneaky suspicion that Jamal Murray isn't. But right now, we're all assuming that everybody is in for the Denver Nuggets. On the Houston side, though, that's where things changed. Tari Eason questionable.
Tari
I
Eason's
thought
out.
he would be. Really? Did that happen at 5 o'clock?
No, I'm pretty sure it happened at like 3:30.
Jayshawn Tate is out.
They both got rolled out at the same time, almost possible.
No, Eason's questionable.
Okay.
Eason questionable. Tate out. Van Vliet out. You definitely read that wrong.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I see the injury report now, but I was almost positive I'd seen him out.
The Tate one probably just clouded your mind because that was not something expected. So now this team is a team that I am getting to, even though I don't normally get to it. 57% ownership coming into the chalk Aaron Holiday, 4,100. Go ahead.
And yeah, that's what it was. Van Vliet out, Eason questionable, Tate out, but like Eason was in the middle. So it was just like, okay, Eason's out. Yeah. So
57% ownership to Aaron Holiday, replacing Van Vliet allegedly in the starting lineup would be the expectation. 30% ownership to Şengün, 15 to Brooks and Smith, 30 to Jalen Green, 30 to Tari Eason, who is questionable. Let's start with Aaron Holiday, 4,100. If he's named the starter based on the minutes that he's been playing, got to do it, right?
Yeah, I mean, and just the lack of value on this slate too. So he's getting 57% ownership right now. We have him with a 21% chance of being optimal. This isn't even a case where I am just in line with the optimal. I have 48%, so slightly under the field, but having a hard time getting away from this one, assuming that he starts. He just is going to need to play enough minutes that he's going to look pretty good. That's only with a 19 to 20 fantasy point projection too. It's not like going too crazy on his projection or anything. So yeah, I have a hard time getting away from that one. He looks good as a $4,100 value guy.
Yeah. He's the best of those like shitty values that we've been talking about because he should play the most minutes of all of them.
Yeah.
And they seem to like, they've been using him anyway. So I actually feel like pretty, at least safe about his minutes. Now, they could go to like some Jalen Green at the point bullshit. I don't know how much Ime Udoka wants to do that. Let's talk about the other guy here that I think is tough to talk about. What the hell do we do with Tari Eason?
I right now have a lot less than 30. I have 9%. He's projected for 30. We have him with a 22% chance of being optimal. I think the one thing that is nice is that we may not have, so we don't know if we'll have this news before lock or not, but Jeff Green is 4K power forward center on DraftKings. Eason is 4,400 small forward power forward. If Eason gets ruled out and you have him at small forward, then there's not necessarily an easy answer. But where you have him at forward or power forward, worst case, that can become Jeff Green. Ideally, you have a good late swap process where you're just swapping everything anyway. But if for whatever reason you don't and you're not going to be able to do it, worst case scenario, just swapping him to Jeff Green isn't going to be the end of the world.
If you have an extra $100 in that lineup, you can go to Terrence Mann at small forward.
Yeah.
Which helps. I was just looking at it quick to see what else is there. So, like, let's say he's in right now. How do you feel about 30% ownership?
It still seems really high because it's hard to think he's playing a ton of minutes.
Right.
He played 21 last night. Let's say he plays like 21, 22 here. He looks like a good value, but 30% is a lot. When you consider
if this wasn't a back-to-back, I'd feel a little bit better thinking like maybe they just give him that bump in minutes.
Right.
With it being a back-to-back and him being like relatively new to the season, that's scary. Larry Nance out, not that it matters.
Yeah, I mean,
he plays like 9 minutes a night.
Well, it helps Joval, but it's not enough to really move the needle.
No, it helps Najee Marshall. Now Cody Zeller probably plays 14 minutes. Yeah. I don't know what to do here. Like I got 32%. I don't want it at all. It's terrible. Like 30% Jalen Green. Cool. I'm in. No Fred VanVleet getting rate bumps. Like I told you, 40% usage in the 112 minutes or whatever with him off the floor this year. That's cool. I'm finally getting to Şengün, $8,500 center, 30% owned. He looks great to me. I have no problem getting there. What are you doing with the rest of these Houston guys?
1.5 more minutes per game for Joval without Nance. So adds 2 fantasy points to his projection, but he looked so bad that it doesn't really matter too much. As far as the rest of the team, I'm getting to a ton of Şengün, which it's scary. I mean, you have the road back-to-back in Denver, slow-paced game, solid defensive team, potential of getting fouled out by Jokic immediately. But it's also a good price tag still at 8,500. He's also a capable playmaker, which is important when you think about VanVleet being out. Yeah. The tendency is to think, it's going to go to, Aaron Holiday is going to pick up some of it, and like Jalen Green's going to pick up some of it. Şengün's probably going to pick up a lot of it. And look really good here. He's already been a 1.3 DraftKings point per minute guy this year. VanVleet being out from just an opportunity standpoint should certainly help. Now you can argue that it makes the Rockets more likely to just get run off the floor and Şengün not to play the fourth quarter and all of that. But just from a doing things while he's in, Şengün should be just carrying the load here. So I'm getting to a lot of him, getting the 49%, which is higher than the field. This is one of the few chalk guys that I am really getting a lot of. I'm 2x the field or close to it on Jabari Smith at 6,100. I think that one's pretty interesting too, especially in the context of like your OG Anunoby. I don't know how much Jabari you're getting to, but I'm getting the 26% at that same price tag at power forward. So he's been playing huge minutes lately. He disappointed last night, but the playing time's been there. Certainly could take on a little bit bigger role offensively without VanVleet. So I don't mind getting to that.
21, by the way.
What'd you say?
21.
Okay, yeah. I'm getting 17% Jalen Green. He's 29% owned, so that's a spot that I'm not getting as much of. So it's kind of weird looking at Houston. Like I'm right around the field on Holiday. I'm over the field on Şengün, but then I'm under the field on Green and Eason. So it's not like I'm taking a team-wide stand over or under. It's basically over on Şengün, around on Holiday, over on Jabari, under on Green and Eason. I'm getting a little bit of Dylan Brooks, a little bit of Reggie Bullock.
I'm going to take a minute away from Eason later so that I'm not getting to that amount just because I'm not confident. I think he's going to look a lot like what we've been talking about for Middleton for the past couple of weeks, in that I don't think he has a right tail.
Yep.
If I'm proven wrong, like that's going to happen on the guy that's on the injury report on a back-to-back and started his season 2 weeks ago guy. I'm just not going to get it on that one. On the Denver side, it's Q tags all around for Gordon and Jokic and Murray. Based on them being 9-point favorites in Houston, even without Fred VanVleet, seems like somebody's playing there for sure. The problem is, with everybody in, these guys look awful.
Yeah, I don't have, with those guys projected in, I don't have a single player from Denver in a single lineup in my top 150.
Same. I don't either. If Murray's out, but Gordon and Jokic are in, do you think that changes anything?
Not much.
Don't really.
It'll make Jokic project better if Murray is out, but it's already hard to get to Embiid. And then Jokic is even more expensive. I still think that even though Jokic will look better, I probably will be getting to Embiid before I get to Jokic.
Yeah.
Prices have come up. I mean, Reggie Jackson's up to 6,300. Porter's up to 7,900.
Yeah. I think you would have to wipe out this entire team for COVID to get to $7,900 Michael Porter Jr.
Right. To me, the news that would actually move the needle is if Jokic is out, because then you get $4,400 point center DeAndre Jordan, and that's going to look really good. And Jackson would certainly look good if Jokic is out. But if Jackson's playing with Jokic at 6,300, I don't need that. If he's playing without Jokic, then the same thing we talked about the other day. You're going to get shot volume for Michael Porter Jr. You're going to get shot volume for KCP, but they're going to have to make contested shots, or you're just going to get, the feeling of, oh, well, it was a good play because he shot 20 times. He just made 4 of them. I got unlucky. And it's like, well, yeah, but also he's not going to make those shots very often. Reggie Jackson would Reggie Jackson and Jordan, if Jokic is out, would be the guys that I think actually become solid plays.
Yeah. If we're not getting to the Pelicans at that 230 total, we're also having a little bit of trouble with the Denver Nuggets at the 214 job with everybody back with increased prices.
Yeah. And I absolutely hate how much of the team with the 103 implied total I'm getting to. But like the field's getting even more. So,
yeah. The LA Clippers are 2-point favorites in Sacramento. Final game, hit that like button, guys. 231 total for this one. Sacramento on the back-to-back. Keegan Murray is still out. Everybody else that's normally available for these teams is 17% ownership to Kawhi, 10 to PG, Harden, Zubats. I'm not really getting to much here. I'm around the field on Zoo and Harden. Only 3% of my boy Kawhi Leonard. Only 1% of Paul George. Wouldn't mind having those guys. I just don't. They all kind of look just the same.
Yeah, I'm pretty much around the field on this team. Kawhi's my highest owned guy at 16%. He's the field's highest owned guy at 17%. 1.07 DraftKings points per minute, I believe, in the games that he's played with Harden and George. About a 25% usage rate. 8K, perfectly fine. Perfectly fine with that. I'm getting to 8% Harden, who is at a fantasy point per minute in the games he's played with Kawhi and George. 7,800 point guard, shooting guard, right around the field. 7% Daniel Tice at 3,800. That is just another, like, hey, this guy's not a very good play, but neither are the plays that people are playing. Take some shots on that. I'm taking some shots. 6% Terrence Mann, which is in line with the field. I have 6% Zoo, 5% George. Just kind of mixing these guys in here and there in lineups, but not getting much of anybody in particular.
Yeah. Any shares I get of any of the main guys, I'm totally cool with here in a spot against Sacramento. You know, bad defense, solid pace. Like, that all looks good, but they're all kind of priced where they should be. And you know, it's one ball and three guys that like to have that thing, and only so many of them can go crazy in one particular day. I'm happy to have either one of them, but I'm not confident which one that is. I mean, it has been Paul George to a degree, but Kawhi did have that monster a couple nights ago.
Yeah, George has been the highest usage guy at about 28%. Kawhi's at 25, Harden's at like 18, but Harden's making up for it with assists also. But yeah, and obviously, like, you're going to have games where Kawhi just gets hot and takes over, or Harden gets hot.
Finally, we close it out with the Sacramento Kings. 5% ownership to Malik Monk is the high man on DraftKings. It's different on FanDuel, where it's 28% ownership to a 5K Kevin Huerter with shooting guard, small forward eligibility. 10 to Monk and Lyles. I have 9% Monk. That went well yesterday in terms of him getting hitting game winners and I guess helping me win a showdown contest. But I have 5% of Fox, 9% of Monk, basically nothing else. It's another situation where, like, these guys' prices have already come up for Keegan Murray to not be around, and they're all just sort of where they should be.
I'm actually getting a good amount of Monk here.
5,800. Okay. That's not what I thought you were about to say, but I said ooh anyway.
What'd you say?
I thought you were going to say Fox.
Oh.
And I said ooh, and then I processed that you said Monk, and I wasn't as surprised.
5% ownership, 8% chance of being optimal. I'm getting to 22% right now, which is a lot. But at 5,800, I really don't mind that. 1.12 DraftKings points per minute this season. He's averaged about 24 minutes per game in the games he's played with Fox. In the 3 games that Keegan Murray's been out, he's averaged 27 minutes per game. I think that you can expect, you know, at least an extra minute or two on his average playing time. Yeah. He had the abbreviated first half last night, picked up a couple fouls in the first half, but then played like the final 17 minutes or so of the game, ended up getting to 26 minutes again. Probably would have played a bit more, maybe would have played a bit more in the first half. He didn't actually sub out for his second foul. He subbed out like 2 minutes later. So may or may not have played more in the first half, but I think expecting 25, 26 minutes on average from him is fine. He's a 1.1 fantasy point per minute guy this year. So I do at 5% owned and 5,800. I like that. Like, if he were getting, you know, 10, 12, 14% ownership, I think I'd probably be around the field like I am on a lot of these other plays. But to me, there's no real reason that we shouldn't be taking shots at a $5,800 Monk on a slate where, you know, yes, he's not a value play in the sense of he's not 4K, but he's not expensive.
No, like I said, I have 9%. I'm more than okay with that. Durant will play. Yeah. We're there too. That's all I got, man. This one goes out with a little bit of a whimper for Clippers Kings, but I don't have anything else to add here. NBA Live Before Lock coming up next. Any final thoughts?
No.
Live Before Lock coming up next. Thanks to Jordan for producing. Thanks to Underdog for sponsoring. Good luck tonight, everybody. If I win the Millie, I won't see you tomorrow.
Yeah, neither will I.
What is happening, everybody? Is Tuesday. It is. Oh no, sorry, it's Wednesday. Wednesday. I thought it was Tuesday. Stuck in the past. It's
Good
Wednesday.
Start.
Wednesday. Yeah, probably the worst start of the year we've had so far. Wednesday night, we've got a 7-game NBA slate. You know what kind of fucked me up is that typically Wednesdays are like 11, 12 game slates, and then Tuesdays, Thursdays are the slightly smaller ones. Something, hey, 7-game slate. It must be a Tuesday. But the good news is I've stalled enough time here where my lineup's just finished running through the Sims over here, which is most important for me to have this talking point over here handy to me as we go through this Wednesday 7-game slate. And this is a great week for NBA DFS because we got like 7, 8 game slates. So there's none of these like 2-game slates or 15-game slates. So I'm digging it, and I hope you guys are too. As you come in, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Shout out to Underdog, who is sponsoring our show today. We'll be talking more about Underdog, and we go in their free square, where if you guys sign up there for the first time, you're going to get access to over 0.5 total yards for Dak Prescott tomorrow. You get up to a $100 bonus on your first deposit, and Dak Prescott, you're going to win your first play over there as long as he has 1 passing yard, 1 rushing yard, any of that. So that's about as simple as a free square could be. But Eric, we've got a lot of players on the injury report today. Got a 7-game slate. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Congrats on you got another top 5 under your belt from last night in the $15. So Shout out to you. I broke even, which feels like a
Nice.
win considering my betting record the last couple days. But in terms of DFS, it was a decent slate, and obviously couldn't have asked for a better nuke of the night than Julius Randle, who went completely ballistic. And that's what we're really here to do, is give you guys good information, because if we were only thinking about ourselves, we would never do these streams and we would just kind of hoard the information and the tools for ourselves. But we care about the community. We care about you. Happy to bring a nuke of the night to life.
So I actually feel quite differently than you, because I very much enjoy doing these shows and I would be doing them no matter what.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
No, I like to. So to me,
you
DFS
like hanging out with me? Because it feels a little bit more like,
No. So to me, the DFS is secondary. I like doing the shows, entertaining the people, talking about what I'm getting to. I just need, actually, I don't even need somebody else here with me. I've been doing a bunch of shows by myself, like afternoon shows, and they've been going quite fine. Jordan Klein shows up to a bunch of them I don't even know why he shows up to leave messages in the YouTube chat on my solo shows, but he does. They're going quite well. I actually don't really know that I do need you around. Eric, your camera cut out again. But I mean, hey, we got an NBA slate today to talk about. I'm excited for it, and you're here as well. We just got some news, by the way. We've got Kevin Durant. He is in. Grayson Allen is going to be out. The other players that are very important to the injury report that we're going to be talking about at the top here, we've got Jokic questionable, Aaron Gordon questionable, Jamal Murray questionable, and then we've also got on the Houston side of the game, Fred VanVleet is out, Jayshawn Tate is out, Tari Eason is questionable. That's going to be the big spot that we're going to have to talk a good amount of time about. That game is locking about 3 hours from now. I don't expect we're going to be getting that news until after lock, but I want to start by asking you about the Denver Nuggets here, Eric. And also, if you guys have any questions and you're in our Discord channel, at me, we'll be checking on the super chats in a second as well. But really want to start by breaking down this Denver situation. Jokic questionable, Gordon questionable, Murray questionable. Do you have any leans on these players? Because I do.
Oh, you do? Okay. I think that Murray doesn't play. I think that Jokic does play.
Okay. So I think Murray plays, and I think he gets like 4 6 to 7 minute stints, and we see 24 to 28 minutes from him, which is going to be enough to take some usage away from other guys, but not make he himself viable. I think Jokic plays. So we saw the other day, I was going back and forth with Lee about this before the show. We're trying to figure out the Denver situation and who we think could be in, who might be out, what minutes could look like. And here's my stance on Jokic. We saw Denver play a back-to-back the other day. He plays in the front end of the back-to-back. He sits out the second leg, but they ruled him out well in advance. That usually to me screams Fugazi injury. That's the way I kind of look at it. It's like, this is planned rest, and they just put it as a back injury, and they leave him as questionable in the injury report just for appearance purposes. I could be wrong. Maybe it's a real injury, but that's my stance. I think Jokic is good. I think he's going to be good to go. I think Murray plays. It's going to be limited minutes. Aaron Gordon, to me, true 50-50. He's missed the last couple of games. I actually think he needs to warm up to see how he feels.
Okay, for me, Jamal Murray getting upgraded to questionable, generally that's a telltale sign that somebody's playing. I think this was like hey, we're going to see how it feels. And so again, I'm like 52-48 that Jamal Murray doesn't play, just because there's like some real trepidation about the injury, and somebody with a pretty storied injury past. Jokic, I am pretty confident plays basketball tonight. So I'm factoring that in. It doesn't change a lot for me outside of the fact that I want to get to Jokic at 12-8. And then they're playing Houston, which became kind of a value spot because you have no Fred VanVleet out there. We're going to be sitting around for Tari Eason news, which actually matters. So we're going to have some roster spots there that Houston opens up. So I'm not panicking about it whatsoever. It's just that 12,800 is a lot to try to shuffle around, but with Kawhi and Paul George and De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis, we should at least kind of make that work.
The Tari Eason news, it's triggering. It's very annoying. Can we stop the nonsense of players are questionable to rest? They're it's a planned situation. You know in advance. What more information do you need to know if you're going to rest a player or not? What could they be waiting on?
I don't know.
They have to know.
To tool with you a little bit.
But what are they like? They get up. Hey man, sleepy nap? No nap today? What are you going to be doing at 9 p.m. Eastern time tonight? That to me is what this comes down to. It's Tari Eason.
You feel better?
I don't know whether he plays or not. I think it's very dumb that he's listed as questionable due to rest. We've got Fred VanVleet out. We've got Jayshawn Tate out. We've got Aaron Holiday projected for just all the ownership right now. There's also a good amount of ownership going to Şengün. So let's look at the situation with Tari Eason first, who I just left in for now. I have no real what do you do? Guy's questionable due to rest. I don't know if he's going to be in or out. I don't have a real strong read on that. But we do know that Aaron Holiday is going to be super popular. Do you have a stronger read on me, by the way, on Tari Eason?
No, I'm coin flip 50-50. Won't matter to me because I'm just going to be playing. I'm gonna maybe get a little bit of like a Reggie Bullock or a Jeff Green just because I want to have a little bit of lineup flexibility, but I will probably use that in conjunction with any pieces I get to in the last game or any Nikola Jokic, where I kind of try to mix and match those pieces. I mean, the true disaster and the insane thing on this slate would be if Jokic ends up getting rested out of nowhere. And then you have just Michael Porter Jr. coming off of whatever we just witnessed. And then does Reggie Jackson still play a serviceable enough amount of minutes to matter? Probably not. With Jamal Murray, if he's going to be back, but there's just a lot of question marks that we have from that entire situation. So I think finding ways to get extra lineup spots, not the worst thing in that evening window.
Yeah, so I am right now getting to a ton of exposure to the Houston Rockets, which is good because if you consider the matchup they have, who are they playing? They're playing Denver on the other side. And it's a spot where, hey, we don't know whether Tari Eason's going to be in or out, but if I have a bunch of Houston exposure, it's going to be easy to swap off of it and onto other players because there is a lot of value there. But in addition to that, with all the Houston exposure I get, it's convenient because if something happens where Jokic doesn't end up playing, and I'm very confident he plays, but I could be wrong. It's happened before. It's going to happen again many, many times. I'm going to very easily be able to make swaps because of the amount of Houston exposure I have, which is why I know one of the questions we're going to be getting where people are going to say, hey, how many players are you going to limit yourself to from Houston? I'm cool if I have lineups like 4 players from the Rockets because I like having that added the added flexibility of the start time of the game where I could really manipulate my lineups as we go with some of these players who are listed as questionable here. So do you have any kind of limits in terms of what you're going to be doing with the Houston Rockets?
No, mainly because Aaron Holiday, I mean, he's good chalk at this kind of a number. It's really hard to get away from. I was trying to come up with something. Everybody wants to have a take or you want to sound smart or whatever else. And it's Aaron Holiday. We know that Aaron Holiday can be a terrible piece of chalk from time to time where he's just not a good fantasy point per minute guy. But this comes down to minutes. He's 4,100. He's going to play 30 plus minutes more than likely. We've got him for 28.5. And even on the low end, he's a guy that I want to get to in lineups. Jabari Smith, I mean, 6,100, quite a bit there, but like it still feels like a spot I want to be overexposed to. And Jalen Green, I think 6,800 Jalen Green for DraftKings purposes is the one guy that I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. But like Alperen Şengün at 8,500, he's just completely underpriced now. He's going to have all of the assist rate bump here, absent Fred VanVleet. It's just a Houston team that you can get and mix and match pieces to. And then said it before, I think there's a case, at least when you think about the matchup, if you're going to have Aaron Gordon and Jokic on the floor here, there's a lot of spots where Jeff Green at 4K, I know we have him projected for like 11 minutes or something, but like this is a very fragile situation. And there aren't really any rules for what they're going to do here with this lineup. And Aaron Holiday, because of the price, he carries the least amount of risk, but he's getting jammed here. Nobody wants to play Jeff Green. Nobody wants to play Reggie Bullock at 3K with shooting guard, small forward eligibility. I think I might roll the dice on it. Maybe you get the Eason news to break your way, but yeah, it's just a spot where I think you want to get to some of these Houston Rockets. And I mean, I probably don't want to be playing 4 in a lineup tonight if we're playing like that hard and fast rule of like, oh, this is how many I'm comfortable getting to, but I will for sure be rotating around 2 and 3 in quite a few of them.
And the other thing, too, you mentioned with Jeff Green, if you have him preloaded into some lineups and Tari Eason gets rolled out, cool. Like he would look, I think without a doubt, he'd look very good in the situation where Eason doesn't play. So we'll see what ends up happening there. And guys, don't forget, we're going to be here for 30 minutes after lock as well. We'll be making some swaps to our lineups. We'll be talking it through with you guys. So if players do get rolled out in that 30-minute time frame, we'll be here for you. Now, if you haven't done it yet, also like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Let's start getting to some of the questions we have here. I see we got a couple of super chats, and then I'll pull up Discord to see what questions you guys have left for us in there. But first, Ace of Spade wants to know, who are the best options for DK tiers? So if we go ahead and pull up tiers here, we do have a kind of interesting situation to talk about here, actually, Eric, because Nikola Jokic starts in a later time frame, and he is listed as questionable. If you play Jokic and he's out, there is nobody to swap to. You take a 0 in that spot. So to me, the answer is Jokic, because I'm pretty sure he's going to play, but I can't deny that it's risky. And if you want to be risk adverse, go and play Joel Embiid there. But this is one of the more interesting talking points I think we've had on tiers this year.
It completely depends on how many lineups you're making and what your risk tolerance is. Like, if you have no risk tolerance, play Joel Embiid. He's way better than Devin Booker. Kevin Durant's playing basketball tonight. If you are if you're not risk averse, if you're risk taking, you've got Nikola Jokic there projected for 2.5 fantasy points more. Now, Jamal Murray being back, I mean, Jokic has been a 1.91 fantasy point per minute guy, and obviously his assist rate, not something you're completely worried about, but the usage has room to come down for sure, playing alongside a Murray for 24 minutes or 20 minutes, what have you there. Maybe you play Embiid ahead of time there, but for me, I'm with you. I think Jokic is the guy that, because of the Q tag, you'll also know exactly how much ownership you're going to be dealing with once Joel Embiid shows up. And nobody's going to be playing Devin Booker. I guess you can see if, 10, 20% of people end up firing him up, and then you can decide from there. But you'll get a half an hour to kind of decide that. Hopefully that news comes before 8 p.m. Eastern time for you, so you can just take Jokic and know it's coming.
Yeah, so for me, I'm going to answer Jokic there. I'm a risk taker, and that's the way I'm going. Tier 2 for me, that is going to be Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis for sure.
Tier 3, that is Tyrese Maxey for me.
No doubt.
Tier 4, that is going to be Şengün for me with all the players out for Houston.
No doubt. Actually, Desmond Bane's within a fantasy point, but I like Şengün.
Tier 5, this is where stuff is a lot tighter because we got a lot of guys that, I'll say 3 guys. There's 3 guys that project similarly. Then there's a drop off. I think you got Banchero, Siakam, and Kawhi Leonard, who are the best looking options right now. And then, I mean, if you wanted to go and reserve a lineup without a Michael Porter Jr., if you are playing a lineup that doesn't have Jokic, I think it's a way you could reasonably build a tiers lineup with some game theory. But for me, I'm going to answer Banchero in tier 5.
Banchero as well.
Tier 6, that is going to be Triple J for me, Jaren Jackson Jr.
Jaren Jackson Jr.
Oh, got you to betray your guy, Jalen Duren.
I did. I feel bad, but also he plays on a fucking terrible basketball team.
Are you like me, where I watch the Pistons this year and I root for them to lose because I'm excited at the possibility of them having the worst record in NBA history?
Yeah, I would love to see single digit wins. I would love to see 9, and what would that be? 9 and 73.
The inverse of the Warriors season. They could pull a reverse Warriors.
The simulation would finally be complete. It would end the circle. It would be awesome. Jonathan Isaac out. Okay. Interesting.
All right. Jonathan Isaac out, which I was just about to rerun lineups because we have the ownership update that just came in with guys like Larry Nance Jr. being out and guys like Grayson Allen being out, which are, not massive piece of news, but there are ones that could, like the lower end guys who are like 2-3% owned could become, 4 or 5 or something like that. Mm-hmm. But now I'll hold off on making those updates until we get the Jonathan Isaac update that comes in. Is that going to be something that you think really impacts your lineups in a kind of important way?
No, but I had Goga Batatse on the card, the betting card today, because I thought there was a pretty good chance he would sit. You would see a little bit of a spike in terms of rebound rate. His double-double was like plus 380, plus 400 throughout the day over on FanDuel. Thought it was good to take like a quarter unit, half unit, and take a stab on that one. In addition to his blocks, 1.5 blocks was sitting at plus 145 last night. Thought that if Jonathan Isaac ended up sitting, that this would be a pretty decent spot. And considering it's like sore left ankle, whenever you see sore and Jonathan Isaac, just assume for the most part that there's a chance he's going to sit. Yeah, Mo Wagner can eat up those entire minutes, but there's a chance for Goga to see a little bit of a bump from 24 to 26. I guess the main question is what looks better?
What do you mean what looks better?
Outside of Goga. Goga's the only person that does anybody else take any kind of a bump that we really want to get to in a more prominent way? Cole Anthony is so damn expensive now on DK that I can't really do it.
Yeah, so let's see. What do we have for Orlando and the pricing, right? Because I'm not super familiar with all the pricing of the fringe players there. It is a very good matchup against the Washington Wizards. Jonathan Isaac was making it into some of my lineups prior to him getting ruled out here. Mo Wagner, 51. No, I think actually Joe Ingles could pick up a few extra minutes. And at $3,700 with shooting guard and small forward eligibility, I would not be surprised if somebody makes it into like 7-8% of lineups for me.
That's a good call. I've been known to play Jingle all the way, especially come Christmas time. So I'm okay with this. I'm okay getting to a little bit of him. I mean, 22 minutes. I'm probably not going to go anything crazy there, but 3,700 on a slate with no value. We'll see what happens to that ownership in the next half hour, but I'm probably with you. I think that might be the guy that I end up giving a little bit of a raise to.
Super chat here from Stay Odd. Shout out to the Sims tool. Eric will be happy to know that it took down the dollar last night with one exotic player in his lineup in Kevin Love. So now we have to address, Eric.
Stop it.
Who is the exotic play of the night? Is it Goga Batadze? Is it Joe Ingles? There's a couple of guys here we just hit on. I know for me, the answer is Joe Ingles.
I hate this bit more than any other bit.
You should do the reverse and just say your Anthony Black is your exotic play.
No, because you can't win. You can't win with this. This is not fair. This is not a good game.
Joe Ingles for me.
Simone Fontecchio.
Do you have one? You know, it's funny. We all have another super chat here on Fontecchio. Justin asked us thoughts on Fontecchio. This is fantastic. These questions, which is really funny about them, is these were here before, and now topics have come up where it's like, oh my God, I just transitioned to this from all the other ongoing stuff we have. And then the bits, they kind of build on each other as we go. So Justin wants to know, what are your thoughts on one of the potential exotic plays in Fontecchio and Dylan Brooks for FanDuel? Are either of these guys that you like for FanDuel purposes? I know for me here, I get to a ton of Dylan Brooks on FanDuel. I think Dylan Brooks at $4,900 with the players that are out for the Houston Rockets, he is one of the top plays on FanDuel. So I don't know if you're trying to compare these two guys together in Fontecchio and Brooks, because to me, the answer is for sure Dylan Brooks. But Fontecchio, is he somebody who you think is going to wind in your lineups?
Maybe a little bit. We'll see as news starts to come out here. I've got a little bit of him. Let's see. I'm not playing FanDuel, but DK 4,600. Yeah, I don't have him on DK right now, I guess. And then FanDuel built those lineups ahead of time. Dylan Brooks is the much better play.
All right. The other super chat we have here is from Sean Kerpen, and Sean has asked us a 2v2. Jordan Klein, if you wouldn't mind, pull up the player compare tool so we could do a 2v2 in here, because Sean wants to know Ivy and Boncaro or Jalen Green and Şengün. My initial reaction here is that it's going to be Jalen Green and Şengün.
For sure. Like the Jalen Green, Şengün are two of the best plays on the slate. So yeah, that's going to make sense.
Yeah, let's see. Jalen Green, Şengün. And then on the other side,
Boncaro I like, but it's just Jaden Ivey.
Yeah.
This Detroit game has a disaster written all over it here. 229.5. You've now seen the price come up on Cade Cunningham, on Jalen Duren, on Jaden Ivey, on Isaiah Stewart. I just don't really find anything appealing whatsoever. And now you've got Williams going like, oh, you know what? James Wiseman, come on down. You're the next contestant. Like, just basically like a raffle to be able to go out on an NBA floor and play basketball where you shouldn't be, like half of the guys on this roster. So, shit, what are we doing here? Jaden Ivey, 25.1% ownership. I will not be getting close to that.
James Wiseman is one of my all-time favorite NBA stories, and I tweeted about this the other day, because so much of his allure is based on the fact that he got suspended and didn't really get to play in college. If James
I said that same thing the other day on Lindy's Locks. I literally brought that up a couple of days ago where I was like, if James Wiseman played in college, there's no way he would have been a top 5 pick. Like, there's just no chance.
Probably still a lottery pick just based on his, so, by the way, the answer,
right.
If you guys, Sean, if you saw on screen, it's by a mile. Jalen Green and Şengün winning 78% of the time in our player compared to over Ivy and Boncaro. Jalen Green, Şengün, which is the way Eric and I were feeling pretty strongly towards anyway. That's the way you're going there. But James Wiseman gets suspended, doesn't get to play in college. He had very athletic.
He played like three games for Penny. Yeah.
Still would have been a lottery pick, right? Probably still is a lottery pick, but comes to the NBA. He's been terrible, but teams like the Pistons, there's only the Pistons and the Warriors that have given him a chance, but eventually the Pistons are going to move on from him and somebody else is going to give him a chance only because he was a second overall pick in the draft. And the only reason he was the second overall pick in the draft is because he got suspended in college. This is amazing. I've never seen a thing where somebody gets suspended from school and it's like the best thing that could ever happen to their career.
Truly made him a lot of money, because if people had seen him play against actual competition come tournament time, or like even in Conference USA, because back in that day, I think Cincinnati had a pretty good squad still. And there were a couple of teams in his conference that could have maybe exposed him a little bit, but for sure come tournament time, you would have expected a lot of him and you would have gotten nothing in return, because you watch him, he's like a carp out of water, just flopping around, doesn't have any basketball IQ, doesn't understand basic concepts like how to, like, he doesn't even have like a single post move. He doesn't have one. He either gets the ball at the rim and finishes, or he fucking loses it off his fat foot. He's terrible.
He reminds, if you ever played like Pokemon Snap when you take the pictures of Magikarp, that's what I think. Every time he does anything, it's just he's kind of running around. He's still super athletic, but it's not purposeful. He just kind of exists and is.
But I'm saying he has no ball skills. Like, he doesn't have a go-to post move as an NBA player in the year of our Lord 2023. What are we doing here?
I agree, man. I agree. Let's start getting into some of these Discord questions, because I see we got a few of these coming in. And Kenny Wayne, who is asking us about the most exotic play of the night. We've already touched on it. It is Joe Ingles for me, and Eric. Because he just
no comment.
Eric, because he just doesn't like fun, refuses to answer. And then Captain Akella is asking us, who's the one guy that we're playing in a single entry on DK? And then he also says thanks in advance for Nuke of the Night. So we're right around the halfway point of the show here, Eric. So we could answer the normal question we get from Captain Akella.
Jordan Klein, shame on you. Shame on you.
What did he do?
Shame to you and your house. Like, how dare you?
What did he do?
Oh, he's pasting my face on Joe Exotic memes.
Oh, no, that's perfect. Who's better than Joe? Who's more exotic than Joe Exotic? And you're the king of exotic around here. Plus, you guys are very similar in many ways, yourself and Joe Exotic.
In what ways?
Your interest in, listen.
Go ahead. Dig that grave. Go ahead. Let me know how this goes for you.
You like large cats, and many of us hope you get attacked by one.
Wow. My nuke of the night was better than yours yesterday, by the way. So congrats on your 10K, but you still lost.
I'd rather be in my situation than yours. Today, though, we have to go ahead and answer this question here from Captain Akella. Who do we like in a single entry? That is maybe a little bit better to replace single entry than large. Like, still someone we might like in large field tournaments, but who's somebody really look at as a strong single entry play? And then we'll follow it up with the nuke of the night.
Gotta throw Anthony Davis out there again, right? 12.1% center, has Alperen Şengün, and we've had a couple of these slates recently, and Gobert and Şengün were great. So like the chalk has been pretty decent there, but we have guys like Bismack Biyombo pulling 20.7%. Goga, as much as I like him, I don't like him at 12.2% that we're currently seeing projected for him. And Jakob Poeltl's been one of my dudes as well. Kind of a wonky spot there, and they can always go small. They kind of reduced his minutes yesterday, only 25 minutes, and tried to go small. Brooklyn kind of pulled him off the floor at times. And this is a better spot for Jakob Poeltl with Phoenix, Nurkic, and actual true centers there. But I mean, Anthony Davis, 9,800. You want to flip a little bit of the build and get a little bit more expensive than a Şengün, or, way more expensive than some of these other chalk centerpieces. Anthony Davis could just obliterate Detroit here. And Jalen Duren, as much as I like him, AD can get 5-6 blocks in a hurry here. He continues to be sub 10K. Yes, he continues to share the floor here with LeBron James. That'll limit some of the upside that you might otherwise see, but like, it's still Anthony Davis at very, very reasonable ownership. You could even say everything I just said for Joel Embiid, who's projected for 62% ownership. Nikola Jokic, like spending up at center is really like in single entry where I would be looking at going.
I'm going to agree with you, by the way. Anthony Davis is my most rostered spend up option on the slate. I love AD, and he's not particularly popular. By the way, we got people in the chat asking us who's Carol Baskins in this situation. I hope Carol Baskins is Eric's wife so that their relationship ends the same way.
Jesus, dude, what's wrong with you? What?
Just fed to the tigers.
All right. Again, future Eric, when you are suing Greg Ehrenberg for defamation and everything else.
This is not defamation.
We're going to timestamp November 29th at 6:31 p.m. Eastern time, 3:31 Pacific. Greg Ehrenberg said that he hopes that my wife becomes vigilant at me on the internet and then tries to send a hitman after me or me after her. I don't know. It would be in some order.
I don't know that you know the difference between defamation and a fantasy. I've done nothing illegal here. I
hate doing
I've
these
just
shows
shared
with
with you
you
my hopes
sometimes.
and desires.
3 days in a row is too much of Eric and Greg together. Eric and Greg in the afternoon. Fucking kill me. God.
That's what we're trying to do here. That's what we're trying to figure out.
I'm aware that that's what you're implying. Come after me. I could eat you.
Wemby listed out for tomorrow. Not that matters, but that is of interest here.
Yeah.
We've got to follow up on the other part now. Nuke of the night. Jordan, play the animation. It's time for the nuke of the night. Do it. Nuke of the night. Yeah. All right, that animation, which is, as Eric says, straight from Call of Duty. He's wrong, but he believes it. So, Eric, who's going to be your nuke of the night tonight?
Thought it was. It doesn't matter. I was going to have Anthony Davis as mine, but I guess I will pivot simply because we just talked through the case of everything there. And I will go to a nuke of the night, friends. And there's a lot of the value that exists here on the Houston side of things. And there's a lot of ways that things pan out, yada, yada, yada. But I want to go a little bit contrarian, and nobody's playing Malik Monk here at 5,800 against the Clippers. And the guy is right around a 1.05 fantasy point per minute guy. It is a back-to-back, and obviously he just had that ridiculous bucket. There was so much other stuff, but like these starting lineups have been laughable. Chris Duarte started 4 of the last 5 games, and he has not eclipsed 22 minutes in any of them here. There are a lot of situations without Keegan Murray on the floor that we haven't seen the exact ceiling yet of somebody here in Malik Monk, and you're trying to find ways to get different in tournaments or get exposure to somebody that just isn't as popular. So you have some rotational pieces there for Houston. He's projected right around 27 fantasy points, but he's just one of those guys that gets confident, gets hot. And again, 30 minutes, 26 minutes. If we get that 30 minutes range of outcomes, he's now attempted 14, 15 shots. We're talking 24, 29% usage here. There's 25, 30 point real point upside. We're talking like 35, 40 fantasy points. And with the point guard, shooting guard eligibility here, gives me another piece to be able to rotate around Houston news. So like finding somebody from that Sacramento LA game that I'm going to get to that, you know, obviously if Jokic ends up sitting out, that's a whole thing, but kind of like sneaking in double the field or triple the field Malik Monk there. I've got 22% of him right now.
I am going to go with, so I know he's projected to be popular right now, but I don't actually think he's going to be popular in Tari Eason because he's listed as questionable. And I like what Tari Eason gives us. If he plays, he's a great option. If he doesn't play, It's just another spot that we could swap off of to get to other Houston value. He's projected for 28% ownership right now. I would be very surprised if he's actually that popular because he's going to be holding that questionable tag for another, like hour and a half or something like that. So I'm going to go with Tari Eason.
That's a really good call. That's, as much as I want to be mad at you right now in my present state, that is a really good call. And I think a sharp point out by you.
All right, let's move on and answer some of the other questions that we have gotten that have.
Everybody's on Monk, by the way. Obi-Wan, no, they're not. He's sub 10%. Nobody's playing Malik Monk.
Malik Monk, let's see, latest ownership projections. I did see that we got an update. Yeah, Malik Monk is projected for 8% ownership. Not everybody's there. Nuke
of the night has to be single-digit ownership. Julius Randle yesterday, 7%. Second highest scorer on the slate. Fun times. I'm going to value this time, but like Malik Monk is one of those guys who has 40, 45 point fantasy point upside that we haven't necessarily seen a whole lot yet this year.
Yeah, and I don't agree. First of all, I make the rules around here. It's whatever I want it to be. But I don't think it has to be somebody who's single digit owned. Like there's different reasons. There could be game theory reasons to get to somebody as well. So that's where I'm going with this.
And for me, it's like I could very easily turn Malik Monk into a lot of other things, depending how my lineups do. We have 2 games locking at 7 p.m. Eastern time. This is one of my favorite types of slates because then we have, this progression where it's like there's a lock starting at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, 8 p.m. Eastern time, 9 p.m. Eastern time, 10 p.m. Eastern time. Like you have an opportunity to continually update your lineups for new information. And that new information is sometimes just how your players are doing in the early set of window.
All right, let's see what else we have. I see we got some questions in Discord that are rolling in. We've also got some more super chats here. We've got this one from James Magruder, so let's bang this out here. And by the way, also, guys, don't forget, if you ever want to sign up for any of the tools or packages we have at stochastic.com, there's a link below. The lineup generator, the Sims tool, NBA package. We've got links for everything below. And if you do sign up for our NBA package, you get access to the contest generator, which is help me, the contest generator and the Sims, win a good amount of money in NBA DFS this year. It is definitely something that has paid its worth, at least as far as I'm concerned. You know, I work here, so I don't have to pay a monthly subscription, but I would absolutely be paying for it if I wasn't here, just based on the success I've had so far this year. So if you do want to sign up for all the tools we have, sign up using that link below. But James Magruder is asking best plays at each position and favorite cheap play. Eric, who are your favorite options at each position tonight on DK? Point guard has to be Aaron Holiday.
Yes, it is not close.
Shooting guard, that is Desmond Bane for me.
Jalen Green.
Jalen Green's also a very good one. By the way, small forward, Desmond Bane's also there. So I'm going to go with Tari Eason at small forward.
Yeah, I'm going to still stick with Desmond Bane.
Power forward, I think Nick Batum's going a little bit underrepresented at $4,200. If you want a lower owned value option, I think Nick Batum is a way to get off of some of the more chalky pieces from Houston.
Paolo Banchero, power forward, DK.
And then center for me, I'm going to go with Anthony Davis.
Jaren Jackson Jr., power forward, center, and Goga, and then Anthony Davis. Yeah, I mean, I'm just so pro Anthony Davis today.
Same. All right, let's go into, another super chat. This one is from Corey Shea. This is going to be an easy answer. He's saying Derrick Rose or Aaron Holiday. Aaron Holiday, my man.
Aaron Holiday by a lot.
All right, what else do we have here in Discord? This is Mr. Cool Cam wants to know favorite 3 plays for a FanDuel single entry. Yeah, let me go and pull up the FanDuel lineups I've built here.
I built one lineup on FanDuel, so that makes it easy.
I'm going to say, I mean, Aaron Holiday's still one of them for me. But then
Paolo Banchero, super popular, still one of them for me too.
I'm going to go, and then I'll add Anthony Davis as well. A lot of the players that look good on, a lot of the players that look good on DraftKings look good on.
Son of a biscuit.
Your camera turned off.
It knows
you get a lot of money for a camera that doesn't work, dude.
Yeah, well, get Jordan Klein, my producer extraordinaire, who's supposed to have these things figured out for me. Why did that happen? Oh my God, Jordan Klein. Why are we doing this?
What happened now? What happened?
Every time I start running the Sims tool, my camera shuts off. It's obviously something where it gets like overheated or something goes. Do you feel proud of yourself that you have these bits pre-planned ahead of time and that you can then transpose them directly as my avatar? Go ahead. Just make that me the rest of the show. So that way I don't have to I can go hit some putts in the background, work on my short game.
It's going to be funny, though, is when it's Joe Exotic on screen as Eric, and then his camera actually turns back on. Eric's just standing there naked.
I'm never going to financially recover from this.
Is that a Scruffy?
I'm Joe Exotic. Whatever the hell he sound like. I sound a little bit like this, but I don't know.
It sounds like his name's Scruffy from Futurama, right? The janitor?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but it does sound like him.
They do kind of sound alike, for being honest.
You should. It's very specific, but you should keep that in your back pocket. And you've got yourself a Scruffy. You've got yourself a Scruffy impersonation there.
Can you say words in order, or are you gonna?
I want to look up.
Stuttering Stanley.
Is his name actually Scruffy though from Futurama?
I can't remember.
Let's see.
No idea.
Yeah, it's Scruffy Scruffington. You got that down. All right, let's see what else we have here. What else do we have here? Discord channel, we have... Oh, right, Mr. Cool... No, we answered Mr. Cool Cam's question. Hitman J, thoughts on AD for single entry? Love it.
Love him very much for all things today.
Sir George Peelsworth, do we like Ingles on FanDuel? I think Ingles is a good contrarian play today. Like, he's not going to be a core play for me or anything, but there's opportunity for him there without Jonathan Isaac. I like getting to him.
Yep.
See, what else do we have in here? Cleveland 27. It's funny. We're going to have the same answer for a lot of these guys. Cleveland 27, large field favorite pay up option, Anthony Davis.
I ran another sim, of course. This is just insane. I'm going to just go. God, Jordan, you're killing me, buddy. You're killing me. I'm just going to the FaceTime camera. I don't even care. There we go. Just screw it. Back to the old school.
And you're back. And you're back.
No, I love when that's like the immediate one that he always has when it goes ripped to me. That's
people in chat are loving it. Jordan's having a day. This is Jordan's like 50 20 20 triple double game.
This is Jordan when he's behind the tree in the gif where the guy's rubbing his hands together like yeah,
he's killing it.
Yeah, gonna get
Jordan's
there.
killing it. Next question that we have here is from Cream. Wants to know how much Aldama do I have? So I'm rerunning lineups right now, so I don't know exactly.
I'll tell you here in a second. I'm saving out my fitty. I'll teach you how to stunt, man. That's 50. What do we got? Aaron Holiday. There we go. Exposure. Why am I getting so much Nicholas Batum? Can you explain that to me? That's a new one. That is definitely a new one.
I mean, I just gave him out as one of my favorite value plays.
Oh shit. Okay. Well,
yeah, I like Batum today. I think he's the most reasonable cheap pivot off of the Houston Rockets forward value.
That's probably fair. I can't get 78% of him and live to tell the tale. So I'm going to take a little bit off the top there. Going there. Every Houston guy gets a little bit of a bump. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of cheering for Paolo Banchero and Anthony Davis here today. Oh my goodness.
Sick Mosh wants to know who our favorite value plays for DK Cash. Aaron Holiday, Jaren Jackson Jr., Jalen Green, Goga Batadze. Anybody else you'd add to that list?
You did a great job there. Congratulations.
Thank you. Next question here is from Opposite Exo. Wants to know who's the value on DK. It's Aaron Holiday today.
It's Aaron Holiday by a lot. I have 85% of him, and that sounds just fine to me.
It's Aaron Holiday. If you want to be contrarian, Nick Batum. Next question that we have here is from K Thumbs. Wants to know, is Christie starting for the Lakers something different or important? Now he's been starting every game.
Yep.
Did you get exposure to Christie?
I did last slate. That went well. No, I have 0% today. Thank God.
Yeah, I don't think he's somebody who's like super necessary.
Yeah, I really have no desire now. Malik Monk. This is going to be fun. If I can nuke of the night back to back, I think the nuke of the night tonight is a little bit more valuable simply because Evan Mobley had a pretty decent game, a little bit cheaper than Julius Randle yesterday. And like, I didn't get rewarded the way that I feel I should have for that play, but it was still fantastic. And that you would want both in a perfect world. Both were optimal in the optimal winning lineup. But I feel as though there's more to be accomplished if I can get that massive game out of Malik Monk as a differentiating piece in the evening.
You know, it's one thing, and this is information to keep in our back pocket for next year. It's something that I think we kind of missed out on yesterday that I realized after the fact. Because of the differential rules, the best scenarios last night were the teams that needed to win by point differential, and we're just running up the score at the end of games. Like Donovan Mitchell scored almost 70 fantasy points, nearly 60 for Evan Mobley. But it wasn't because they had like great games in regulation. It's because the game got to be 2 minutes left. They needed to score a certain amount of points in order to win the point differential. So they were just running up the score against backups. Evan Mobley was blocking shots left and right. They were sprinting up the court to get buckets. Keep that in mind for next year. When teams need point differential, we're going to want to load up on those players because the starters are going to play extra minutes, even in a blowout run.
I talked about it. I should have locked it. I should have just, not been a coward and had only a half unit on it. But I thought Boston 11.5. People were like, "Hey, would you still bet it at 12.5?" I was like, "Yeah." They want to put the gas down and just obliterate Chicago. And they're a way better basketball team. And if you get in a fourth quarter scenario where it's a 10, 12 point game, Chicago had no incentive to have DeMar DeRozan and Vucevic and stuff on the floor. But you get Andre Drummond out there getting Haka Drummond up 30. I can't remember a clip that I enjoyed more than Joe Mazzulla having to go explain and just be like, "Yo, sorry, this is why we're doing this." And then, okay, Donovan just walks back to the bench and sits down. He's like, all right, I get it now. He was so pissed off at first, though.
And they were up, I think they were up 32 at the time,
32.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, 32, and because they need to win by a certain point differential, they start intentionally fouling Andre Drummond to get extra possessions midway through the quarter. It was hilarious, but
it was
incredible. It shows that the teams were really trying to compete in the play-in tournament. Now, was that like the intended purpose the NBA had when they put together this tournament? I don't think so, but it was pretty fucking fun.
It was a great ancillary benefit. Ancillary, word of the day. Enjoy that one, kids. Put it in your pipe and smoke it.
We have a question here from Sharon. Sharon is asking us, chalk your contrarian builds on FanDuel for the 50K to first place. So in general, in basketball, like if your choices are like totally contrarian or totally chalky, I'm going to tell you want to lean more towards being chalky. But Jordan, can you pull up the lineup generator and let's build some lineups for FanDuel for Sharon here. And we're going to do it with the, we'll do balance. Just split the difference. We'll build some balance lineups and we'll see what shows up for FanDuel here. Yeah, build some balance lineups. And if you guys ever want to sign up for the lineup generator, there's a link for it below. It is the most affordable tool that we have at stochastic.com. And if you're somebody who's, new to DFS, you just need lineups built for you, it's less than $15 to sign up, and it does all the heavy lifting for you. You can save a bunch of lineups. You upload up to 20 of them to DraftKings FanDuel, whatever it is you're playing, and it'll just give you lineups that we are projecting to be plus EV. And if you look right here on the left side, you can see some of the lineups that we ended up getting to here. As far as the players we got the most exposure to, Aaron Holiday, Paulo Banchero, Santi Aldama, Dylan Brooks, Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson Jr., Şengün. Those are the players we got north of 40% of over on FanDuel that I'd consider like core tournament options for FanDuel. Anything else that stand out to you, Eric?
Yeah, just, seeing Derrick Rose showing up in 31%, I would be a little bit trepidatious of something like that. Again, there's a range of outcomes in projection. There's an idea of again, the Kevin Huerter, that's kind of playing in the same thing that I'm looking at with Malik Monk. I find that to be another piece that if you wanted to make it Kevin Huerter, there's really no problem with that. It becomes just trying to get exposure to something else that shows up in Sacramento that carries upside. I really wish I had pulled the trigger on it. I know I talked about it yesterday where it's like, there are a lot of these pieces that exist throughout the entire slate, but yesterday you didn't have necessarily the news to react to. And so I didn't end up on as much Kevin Huerter or as much Malik Monk or Harrison Barnes or some of these other pieces as I otherwise would on a slate like tonight.
We've got some other questions in here. And it's funny, we just got one here that's related to Derrick Rose. Justin left a super chat saying, is Rose playable if forced to play a guard? Yeah, I definitely think he's playable.
Yeah, he's playable. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 out of 50 lineups with him. So what is that? 10, carry the 1, whatever the fuck. 16% of him. Cool.
Yeah, I think he's playable for sure. Not my favorite play on the slate or anything, but he's somebody to get into lineups.
Yeah, I'm probably going to trim it down a little bit here. That game doesn't start for another hour and 10 minutes. I'd be surprised if I had double digits by the time we got there, but I'll be reacting to how Anthony Davis is doing, how Goga's doing, how a number of these players in the early window are doing.
Let's see what else we have coming in here. And I'm about to upload my final version of lineups through the Sims to see what it is that I get to in my final lineups. We've got a super chat here from Jorge who's asking us top 3 value plays for DK. So for me, that's Aaron Holiday, Nick Batum, and Tari Eason.
All sound lovely.
Next question that we have is from Frankie Lofton. Frankie's asking us for DK, Anthony Davis, Ivy, and Fontecchio. This is a 3v3.
Oh, God.
Ivy, Fontecchio, Bane, or... Okay, so Bane is in both. It's actually it's AD, Ivy, Fontecchio, or Bane, Triple J, Rose. So that other one has so much exposure to the Memphis Grizzlies that I'm going to go with the AD, Ivy, and Fontecchio combination.
Yeah, I have 0% Jaden Ivey, so there's that, but you have fun with that.
So would you answer the second part then?
Yeah, I would. It's still one of I love Anthony Davis so much that it's hard to get away from that, but yeah, I'll go with the second one anyway.
All right, so Eric is going with the second one. I went with the first one. So Frankie Lofton, choose your fighter. That's what we've got going on here. Choose which one of us you want to roll with. Next question is RADM. Hello, just got here. Thoughts on Cole Anthony tonight versus that defense? He should be good, right? Are you getting to Cole Anthony, Eric?
No.
Nope.
Nope. I've got him in 4 of 50 lineups.
He is a low priority option for me. He's fairly popular at 20% ownership.
Yeah, I might have to fade him too.
I'm not going to call him a fade, but I think that he's somebody that's worth having in your player pool.
Yeah, 4 out of 50. I mean, I'm sub 10% or whatever that is. Yeah, I don't find him to be all that appealing.
See what else we have in here. We've got Bossboro, favorite value on FanDuel, Aaron Holiday. I don't mean to keep answering Aaron Holiday, just the answer to a lot of the questions. Tim Lee. What was that, Jordan? Oh, did he?
Oh, Malakar.
Why did that not show up here? All right, Malakar. Shout out to Malakar.
Well, because it's the dial-up internet in Michigan. That's what it was.
Yeah, shout out to Malakar. Malakar gifted out some YouTube memberships. Malakar, thank you very much for supporting the channel. And anybody else, if you want to support the channel like our dear friend Malakar, just like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We do really appreciate it. It helps us grow, helps keep our content free, and it only takes like a half second of your time. So if you haven't done that, please do, because Eric and I very much appreciate it. And also, one more time, shout out to Underdog, who is sponsoring the show today. If you guys haven't signed up there, you do get up to a $100 bonus on your first deposit when you sign up using the link that we have below. And in addition to that, Eric, how do you feel about over 0.5 total yards for Dak Prescott tomorrow night? Think he's going to have 1 passing yard?
Yeah, I guess.
All right, so we are both in agreement here. Over 0.5 passing yards for Dak Prescott. So Dak Prescott, that is somebody who Eric and I both like the over to, and the only way to get access to that over on Underdog is to sign up using the link that we have below, and you get that free square that comes up when you sign up with our link. Next question here is from Tim Lee. He wants to know favorite cash plays for DK. And yeah, we went over this before. He said he missed it though. Aaron Holiday, Jalen Green, Jaren Jackson Jr., Şengün, Goga. I mean, these are guys that I think you really want to be playing in cash games today. Next question is from Sniffs1234. Wants to know, how do we feel about D'Angelo Russell on DK? Let's see. I just ran my lineups through the Sims. Did I get to D'Lo?
No.
I have D'Lo in 2% of lineups.
So one thing you should do, and again, I don't know how much of a part of a process. Obviously, I do betting content, and I do a lot of betting myself where, you're looking at props all the live long day. I like to look at PRA as kind of like a baseline to see if anything is like way, way off for me. I do like the over of his PRA, but that's because it's set at 22.5. The guy is 6,600 with a 22.5 PRA. That should just set off alarm bells for you.
There we go. And you look at the situation too, when it comes to the Houston Rockets, is they got a lot of guys out. We still got Easton listed as well. Şengün's also been a monster this year.
He's so good.
Absolute monster.
Probably going to get completely destroyed himself against Jokic if he plays. So that'll be fun. But again, Şengün, really good chalk. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be playing him.
We've got a question here from Einstein who wants to know, any love for Cade tonight? Lakers are pretty bad against the guard position.
Nope. Not for me.
I played a ton of Cade the other day. Not today, though. And the biggest issue that I have with Cade on this slate is that the value is in the backcourt and I want to spend up in the front court, not vice versa.
There's a joke somewhere there. I'm not going to find it.
What's the joke?
I don't know.
All right.
It's there somewhere. Somebody can find it.
As you would say, Eric. Good talk. Next question that we have in here is from Rocky Raccoon 7. He said he's still hanging these fucking Grinchmas birthday party lights. Any late news and favorite GPP plays?
That's so the holiday spirit, because like there's like my in-laws, they love Christmas and they also hate it so much at the same time. And I totally get that sentiment. It's like, it's good once it's done, but in the middle of hanging up Christmas lights, which I just did the other day, there's nothing worse. There's nothing worse.
Never done it in my life.
Yeah. Well, you're also a bajillionaire now, so you don't have to.
Well, no, it's one of the benefits of my last name being Ehrenberg. There's never a situation where I'm hanging up Christmas lights.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, there's never a time where I'm hanging up Christmas lights. I'm sure it seems annoying. It's just not something that I have to do. We have Rocky Raccoon is asking us any late news. So we're waiting on the Denver Nuggets. We've got Jokic listed as questionable. Jamal Murray is questionable. Aaron Gordon is questionable. And then on the other side of the game from the Rockets, Tari Eason is questionable due to rest. They don't know if he's going to have to rest or not tonight. So that's what we're really waiting on for news. And Eric and I are going to be here for the next 30 minutes, hoping for that news. And if we do, we're certainly going to bring it to you guys and react. But that's really all we're waiting on now. Anything else that I've missed that you're waiting on, Eric?
No, obviously Jokic gigantic news if something were to happen there, but nothing is really broke yet. You just do what Greg and I were talking about. We've upped our exposure to Houston beyond where we would normally want it to be, and we already want it to be high. So I have a lot of Houston. I added Malik Monk into it because of what he gives me as positionality. I'm able to rotate a lot of different pieces. And again, information is king. Having that as a part of your late swap process, in addition to the news itself, like we want to be reacting to how our lineups are doing on a slate like this where it's staggered starts.
Malcolm Revamp wants to know my core for DraftKings and FanDuel. So I came into the show with lineups built for both sites, but I'm only playing on DraftKings today, and I didn't have the time to update lineups for both DraftKings and FanDuel. But I do have a core for you on DK. The players that I have the most exposure to are Aaron Holiday, Şengün, Nick Batum. I do have a lot of Goga Bitadze, Jalen Green. Batum is the most contrarian of the guys that I'm getting to in a bunch of my lineups.
Yeah, Batum is somebody that I ended up just being fine getting to here on DK. I ended up playing a pretty decent amount of him after all.
And then Anthony Davis, who Eric and I have talked about a whole bunch as well, as a contrarian spend up option. Like I don't get as much of Anthony Davis as say that I'm getting to like Aaron Holiday or anything like that. But he's the player that relative to his ownership, I'm most overweight to the field to right now.
Correct. Yes.
Let's see what else we have in here. Oh, Malcolm Revamp had also asked us about a FanDuel core. I don't really want to throw in any players that might not actually be in it for me, but like I'm pretty confident saying that like Aaron Holiday, Şengün, Anthony Davis, these are players who I was getting to a lot in my lineups before that I would still, I'm sure, getting to a lot of them if I reran everything for FanDuel. Yep. Do you have your lineups in today, Eric? We've only got a minute.
I do. Yep, I got them in.
Just making sure. Have you learned your lesson, by the way? Are you being more reasonable with the amount of lineups you're playing on multiple sites?
Yeah. So I'm playing 1 on FanDuel and 50 on DK. So my life is very, very simple, very basic, feeling good. Been kind of just rotating between playing, 50 lineups on DK or
Sorry to cut you off. We just got a super chat from Justin, like 30 seconds before answer it. Any $3,100 worth taking a shot on? I think that is a no for me.
I will tell you here in a second if I got to anything. I doubt I got to anything, but if I were going to tell you to take a shot on something, that's a different question.
Oh, okay. Wait, I have an answer.
Okay.
Reggie Bullock at 3,000.
Yes.
Reggie Bullock.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Reggie Bullock, 3,000. And this is not somebody who I have like the utmost confidence in or anything like that, but he is in some of my lineups. And then also he's somebody who I would be swapping to more if Tari Eason's ruled out. Like Bullock is somebody who would end up showing up in more lineups there. We are at lock now.
He already has positive leverage as is, playing like no minutes. So and that's with like a 10 projection, 6.4% optimal rate, 2.4% ownership. Like that 3K piece, because of how bad the value is exponentially more valuable than most slates.
If there is no Tari Eason tonight, what do you expect the starting lineup to be for the Houston Rockets? I don't think Eason starts.
I don't think he starts either way, so I guess that doesn't change anything for it. I think the starting lineup ends up being Holiday, Green, Brooks, Jabari Smith, Şengün. The only difference being Aaron Holiday starting in place of Fred VanVleet. But as far as bench minutes go, I mean, Tari Eason I have for 22 minutes right now, and I think I would be looking at moving. I mean, I think Cam Whitmore plays a little bit as well. Jonathan Williams Jr., I don't know if we talked about him at all. He's going to be somebody that I projected for 4 minutes, but I was going through this rotation. There's just a lot of ways the minutes can go. And like, if Reggie Bullock or Jeff Green come out of the gate hot, they could play themselves into more minutes. And with Tari Eason out, I do think it could get into some really weird territory. Jermaine Samuels is somebody on that line or on that roster. Shock Landale and Marjanovic just don't play. Like they've just proven they don't want them to play basketball this year. So that's cool. Kind of makes it a little bit easier. They'll go to some small ball Jeff Green, and that's going to be basically the backup minutes for Şengün there. But Tardis and out would create exposure to Reggie Bullock, Jeff Green well above where they're at right now. And then I think Cam Whitmore probably steps into the next most minutes.
If Aaron Holiday doesn't start, who do you think is the next most likely player to enter the Rockets starting lineup?
It's a good question because, I mean, Jalen Green's played some point guard once upon a time. I mean, the next guy would probably be you slide in Jeff Green or Reggie Bullock at, Jeff Green at the 4, Reggie Bullock at the 3. Like there's iterations of that would work, but I am pretty convinced that it's going to be Aaron Holiday. I would say I'm like 90% confident that it ends up being him. Mainly because, Williams is more of a true shooting guard for people who don't know. Like that's more of his positionality. Is Hinton on the roster? Nate Hinton? Is he with the team?
I think so.
Okay. Because if he's with the team, there's a chance there. But like, I think we're grasping a little bit here at it. I would say the next most likely, mainly because they'll want Jeff Green as the backup center minutes and not Landale, which is weird because Landale played well for the Suns in the playoffs last year. I'm not sure what happened or what's going on. Maybe, I don't know, maybe there's just some kind of an issue there, or Ime Udoka wants to go small there with the backup center minutes. But it's kind of an interesting rotation I've been tracking. And obviously, there hasn't been a whole lot to mine out until now because everybody's been healthy. Even on back-to-backs, everybody's been playing pretty constantly. But this Eason deal is going to matter a lot to what I do with Bullock and Green, obviously. But probably doesn't change much out of the starting rotation, considering I have everybody projected for 32-plus minutes.
Yeah, if it is not Aaron Holiday, I assume it is Reggie Bullock, and they go with Jalen Green as the starting point guard. I'm fairly certain that it's going to be Aaron Holiday, but if it isn't, that's where I think they would end up going. We've got a super chat here from RaceFan22. He's asking us for a DK single entry. Would we rather go to Şengün and Aldama or Jabari Smith and Triple J?
I mean, they're both super popular pairings. We could pull out the player compare tool for that one, mainly because they're both chalky. And I feel like they're all 4 good plays, and you're kind of grasping at straws to make the comparison yourself in the back of your mind. So if Jordan Klein could so aptly pull up the player compare tool, we could at least work through that maybe for a second, because I think there's an opportunity to take a look at that and see kind of where they're at. So we'll put both sides of the equation in and go from there.
I'm going to answer Şengün and Aldama, by the way, but we'll see what the data says here. I'm going to go with Şengün and Aldama, and then the other side is Jabari Smith and Triple J. You got the no, you got it right. Yeah. All right, we're good. DraftKings.
Look at that. He's amazing.
Yeah. I fucked up. My bad, Jordan.
It's okay. Somebody got mad at me going Stuttering Stanley to you, said it wasn't nice. And I was like, I think Greg told me that he was going to kill me on this show today. Just throwing it out there. Maybe a little bit.
That is not fair. Severe. That is not what I said. I said, I hope your wife kills you. I didn't say I was going to kill you. So I'm not going to soil my hands. I'm not going to soil my hands. I wash my hands. I moisturize.
Lawyers, timestamp it 7:05 p.m. Eastern time, live before lock. There we go. Safe.
70%.
70%. Gigantic difference. So again, this is one of those things where we know Jabari, popular, Jaren Jackson Jr., popular, but Şengün Aldama, exponentially better. And again, that's what this tool can do for you. What can your tool do for you?
So here's the a lot. Here's the other part of this equation, though, also, is that the one side is leaving $1,400 in salary on the table.
That is correct.
Which is why the answer becomes, to me, all 4 guys are pieces of chalk that I consider good chalk, but I'm not leaving $1,300, $1,400 in salary on the table for a DraftKings tournament. Actually, I'm going to look through my lineups. What is the most amount of salary left in any of your lineups tonight, Eric? Do you know that offhand?
I have one that has $300 in salary left over.
Let's see.
Everything else is 200 or less. Mainly because I had to hand edit one, and I was like, oh, I kind of like the way that this set up with $300, and it's got a swap in mind, and it's one that, as you start playing with some of the swaps, how you will work things out in the Eason news. I was like, 300 on the table works for this one.
And all right, let's see. What is the most amount of salary that I left on the table in any of my lineups? I have one line. Oh no, I have two lineups left $400 in salary on the table. So that's it. I've got two lineups with 49.6 as the salary on DK. Point being, I would never, especially on an NBA slate of this size, I'm never going to have a lineup that leaves $1,400 in salary on the table. The only, one exception. If we're going to just make it so it's not like a total blanket statement, like last NBA slate of the year where everybody's min price. There's the exception. Other than that, not doing.
Preseason slates, end of the season slates. There's so many slates where you're going to run into stuff like that, or 2-game late slates where you're still going to maybe leave 700-800 on the table. But like, let me just tell you, the salaries, they're done with projection in mind, with like, not just what the ownership is, but like what the player projection is going to be. And they do a pretty good job this season, especially. They've done a really good job of pricing things for the opportunity. You're going to have very condensed spots because it's just like obvious chalk these days, rather than having a number of different options you could have from a team. But it would be very, very rare on a main slate for me to ever leave more than $300 of salary or $400 of salary on the table.
We have a question here from Just Locks. He wants to know, is 4 Houston players for single entry GPP too much? Nope. No, it's not like my favorite build in the world, but I do have some lineups with 4, and I liked having that flexibility because we don't know what's going to happen with Easton. We don't know what's going to happen with Jokic. We have a good feeling, but I'm not like 100% certain in terms of what's going to happen on the Denver side of the game. So I want to give myself some of that flexibility. So I'm going to say no, not too much. IC50 says he doesn't see Reggie Bullock on DK. He's there.
He's there.
I don't know what to tell you. He is 30. He's the flat man with shooting guard and small forward eligibility, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Let me double check. I'm going to pull up the DK app here on my phone. And let me just look at this right here. All right, so we are looking for Reggie Bullock. Let me just make sure. Yep, he comes up. Flat, 3,000, shooting guard, small forward eligibility. Not saying you want to go jam him in right now, but yeah, he's there. I think he's a viable contrarian play, somebody you could save some salary with. Next question we have here is, well, this isn't a question. Rocky Raccoon 7 has a joke that he wrote for us.
Okay.
Should we read it? I want to be clear because I've read this ahead. This was not something that I wrote.
I have not read it. I don't know.
IC50 followed him and said, thanks, my bad. All right. So this is a joke written by Rocky Raccoon 7.
Rocky Raccoon.
And now, by the way, I'm going to give it my, it's not going to work. I'm going to give it my best effort. I'm going to try to sell it. Here's your joke. Okay. My wife's plastic surgeon keeps comparing her to basketball. Yeah. He said she's got value in the backcourt, so I should probably spend up on the front court. It's what he wrote. I gave it energy. You can only do so much though.
Yeah, you can only present the material you're given.
Not everything is as funny as Eric's wife killing him and feeding him to lions. Not everything could be that funny in life. Rocky Raccoon, we appreciate the effort. Dub T for Eric. What putter is in the bag? Okay, I believe it's
my Toulon. I got the Toulon going right now. Yeah, let me grab
it. 5 inches, I believe. All right, he's going to grab the putter. This is big times for Eric. He's got the putting green in the background as well.
The Toulon. This thing is actually pretty nifty. It didn't work this morning. I went out and played a quick 9, but yeah, it is sexy. It's a sexy little putter. 34.5 inches. Just nice, beautiful little Toulon action. It's beautiful.
Now, in the putter's detriment, I know from talking to Eric, it doesn't work well. It doesn't make putts.
No, it doesn't. If it did, I wouldn't be here right now, and I wouldn't have to deal with you hit every damn green, can't make a putt, don't mind me. Also, I mean, the greens just got punched recently, but that's still no excuse. Play like a champion.
Yeah, people are saying that's the putter that Eric's wife is going to use. Hey, if he could be, it could be the Tiger situation. We were just talking about big cats before. Tiger's a big cat. Pull that 5-iron out of the bag. Hey, why not?
Tiger's showing up tomorrow. Can't wait. I'm going to watch every single shot.
We've got another, but there's more from Modub T here.
Oh, great.
He said, what putter's in the bag? Also, he wants to know thoughts on Will Zalatoris. Does he have a shot? I have no clue. I'm going to be playing PGA DFS tomorrow, but I've only reserved lineups. I haven't built them yet. Is Zalatoris somebody you like?
I have no clue what to make of him. I'm going to use a lot of the sportsbook odds to just kind of like indicate where I should be valuing a guy like him, a guy like Tiger. I think Tiger is going to be overowned relative to what he should be for his tournament. But God, he's going to be somebody who's really popular. I mean, he's 6,600. God, him and Tiger just so down there. I mean, Will Zalatoris might end up being the most popular play sub 7K on the slate here. I'm going to be playing my dude Sam Burns. I always do. Again, going to be on Bermuda. Him, Sepp Straka. I just really like getting to them in that range more than Tiger, more than Will Zalatoris. But there's no doubt if Zalatoris is healthy, if he's back, and this is his first time playing in a long time after the back surgery. Yeah, he's somebody who could have upside. There's only so many guys to choose from, though, and I'm going to probably choose other guys.
We've got a Min Cash Merchant. He's doing his own version of the joke. You ready for Min Cash Merchant's joke?
Oh, God.
Min Cash Merchant. This is a joke written by Min Cash Merchant, Eric Lindquist.
Okay. Wow. That's the joke. That's the joke.
Yep, that is the setup, the punchline, the middle, the whole deal.
Cool. I am
all right.
Really
we're getting better. We're getting better at these. Min Cash Merchant. I appreciate it.
Colin Morikawa. Hey, Colin Morikawa, new coach. And he's from the same hometown as my wife. And so they are big Colin Morikawa fans in the family here. Good kid. Grew up like 2 blocks from my wife. And obviously, 10 years between them in terms of age. But like went to the same high school, La Cañada High School. Pretty cool stuff.
Shout out to Min Cash Merchant. That was a good one. Next question we have in here. This is a follow-up from Rocky Raccoon 7. He said, bro, earlier you said there's value in the backcourt, so I want to spend in the front court. Eric said there's a joke somewhere, so I wrote one. That's his explanation.
There it is. Found it. See, there we are. Glad somebody's doing their job here today. That's good.
And they followed up by saying that he does not get any respect. So he is the second coming of Rodney Dangerfield, Rocky Raccoon 7.
No respect.
No respect. I don't get no respect. Sam Cassell Dance saying, that sounds like an Ian Gary deal.
Oh, man. Oh, Ian Gary. Is anybody having a worse week than Ian Gary? Well, Josh Giddey, but he deserves a bad week.
Well, I think Josh Giddey's week isn't going that bad because the news came out today. It looks like there aren't going to be charges pressed against him. So Josh Giddey seems to be doing, okay.
Ian Machado Gary is not.
Yeah, Ian Machado Gary is not doing okay. He is taking himself off social media. He's getting destroyed by the MMA fan base for potentially being a beta cuck. So the Ian Machado Gary, things are going poorly for him.
Beta cuck. What a great combination of 2 words together that I've never heard. That was beautiful.
All right. What is the early going? Because I'm seeing people. Oh my God. Daniel Gafford. We're 3 minutes into the game. Daniel Gafford has 2 steals and a block in 3 minutes. He's putting up
not entertained.
Do I have Daniel? What do I have? Daniel Gafford exposure. Do I have Gafford?
I doubt I do.
Not enough, apparently. Let's see. How popular is he? Am I going to be upset in a second here?
Gafford. 1 share. He only has 7.25. Let's all chill out for a second. Of course, it's my one Cole Anthony lineup that I have too, after I reduced him down to nothing. So gonna need a chalky guy to go nuts in a lineup that I don't want him to go nuts for. So good times.
Oh, and we've got, by the way, Mark Andrews 93 DFS said Corey Perry pretty tough. No, Corey Perry had himself a good week. he's out of a job, but it seems like he had a good time to lose his job. Did you see the Corey Perry story?
I did not.
Do you know who Connor Bedard is?
Yeah.
Okay, so Connor Bedard.
Yes. There's teammate's mom or something. Is that
so? A lot of people in chat, I'm sure you don't know what the hell is going on in NHL. Why would you? So we've got Connor Bedard is the number one prospect in hockey right now. Top overall pick, stud rookie.
Blackhawks.
There was some sort of team retreat where they did like a mother's weekend where all the players went away with the mothers. And a rumor came out that Corey Perry on the Blackhawks hooked up with Connor Bedard's mom. It was big rumors on social media, but you never know these things. Are they true or are they not? Blackhawks put out a team statement today that because of conduct detrimental to the team, they released him.
Oh, I didn't see that.
So
that's incredible.
I
heard the rumor, but
that seems to put a lot. I don't always trust these rumors, right? Like with the Delonte West one at one point in time, like, yeah, it's nonsense.
Jokic available to play Wednesday.
Nice. All right. That
Aaron Gordon ruled out. There we go.
Now we need the Jamal Murray news.
Aaron Gordon ruled out. What in the world?
I don't want to react until we get Jamal Murray. Here we go. Jamal Murray game time decision. So that's not going to help us here. So we got one guy in, one guy out, and then one guy questionable. So does Aaron Gordon being out open up any kind of significant value for you? I feel like we need to know if Jamal Murray's out as well.
Oh, yeah, we definitely do. Mainly because you have a 7,900 Michael Porter Jr. with Jokic in. That's not going to be very appealing to me no matter what. Christian Brown is 4,900. Julian Strother won't play enough unless you have Jamal Murray out there. I mean, this is just a question of like, are we going to get to play shares of Reggie Jackson or not? Because, I mean, Aaron Gordon being out, Jamal Murray continuing to be out. I mean, I don't think we're looking at 40 minutes like we had against the Clippers there for Reggie Jackson, but DraftKings, it's been pretty aggressive for some of these positive scripts and obviously big games that have happened here. 5,400 was what his price was entering the San Antonio game. He puts up 40 in that one, followed by the absolute smacking that he put on his former team. 6,300 it'd still be doable. I guess just nothing really opens up with Aaron Gordon being out all that much. It was going to be Jokic out or bust, really. I don't know. It's still going to look pretty efficient to me.
So we do have some pretty good updates here. If we are not looking for a big game out of Daniel Gafford, he's been stat corrected a steal away from him, and he also picked up a personal foul. So since we last updated, we got -2 fantasy points and a foul on Daniel Gafford.
Anthony Davis 4-2-2. Oh my God. Just absolutely slammed the last couple minutes there. 6-2-2 now for Anthony Davis, but D'Angelo Russell 4-3-3. Good for my bet, bad for my lineups.
Let's see. What did the ownership and the $15 end up being on Anthony Davis?
I ended up with 4 out of 50 shares of D'Angelo Russell.
All right,
and
nice.
None of them have AD in them, so great.
Anthony Davis, who's in about a third of my lineups tonight, is only 13% owned in the $4 in the $15. All right.
Just full. Yeah, so I have 10, 12, 14 to 50 for me. So that's decent enough. I'm pretty happy to be well over the field there. Nearly 30%, 28%.
We have a super chat here, and this is going to be a throwback. I don't even know if you'll remember this, Eric, but Hyper Dime says he's been out for a bit. He wants to know, how did Eric wind up doing the night he got stuck with Dennis Schroeder? He didn't only get stuck with Dennis Schroeder, he also got stuck with Franz Wagner.
Franz Wagner was the problem.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, both of them were doing pretty well on a points per minute basis, and the game was a blowout. Like Schroeder also didn't have.
He had 24 real points.
Yeah, I was going to say, Schroeder that game had no peripheral stats, but he had like 24 points, a steal, 1 rebound, and 1 assist or something like that. And then the game was a blowout, and the guys didn't play in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to get my prize chest. Can't wait for my 20,000 crowns.
I got 40,000 this week.
Oh my God. Did you buy a lottery ticket after it?
I didn't do anything. I did get, a few months ago, I did get the 500,000 crowns though.
Why are you the way that you are? Oh, 20,000 crowns. Good talk. Glad we had it.
Nice.
Unbelievable.
But I also, so the crowns, because you guys know if you have any of the, if you're in any of the tiers on DraftKings, make sure that each week on Wednesday you open up your chest, is you can get up to 5 million crowns in there. It's something that I've never gotten myself, but I got 20,000 crowns every single time for the first 3 or 4 months of the year. And I didn't even know you could get other amounts. And then I got the 500,000 and then went right back to getting 20,000 every single time after that. but I did get the one that brought up my average of pulling them for the year.
Joe Ingles just checked in.
Nice.
So here we go.
That was my
Paolo
exotic.
Banchero playing like absolute dog doo-doo.
My exotic play.
Great. That makes me happy. Good for you. Jalen Suggs, baby. I'm Jalen Suggs. I don't know. 6-1-1. 6-1-1.
Good start.
Joe Ingles, immediate turnover. Just hand the ball to Tyus Jones. Why don't you?
All right. The Lakers, Anthony Davis just going nuts in the early going. Yep. So is D'Lo, which the D'Lo one doesn't feel as good because I have him in 1.7% of lineups. And somebody asked us a question about D'Lo, and I said I didn't like him. So that stings. And it is the Detroit Pistons on the other side of the game. So nobody has any fantasy points because almost none of them ever do end up doing anything. Jordan, let's build some lineups in the Sims tool for Showdown tonight. And I think that'll be a good way to finish up. You're always like when we can build some lineups in the Sims. Well,
hey, Josh Engleman yesterday. Nice little 6K plus W split first for the Sacramento Golden State game. That was fun to see.
Oh, I wasn't playing the
that's the only reason he won then, right? It's definitely about you.
No, I just didn't know because I wasn't playing it.
Trey Murphy ruled out. Matt Ryan ruled out.
I hated that game because I was doing much better last night until that game happened. I was in second in the $15, and then that game happened, and Klay Thompson and Andrew Wiggins decided that they were going to get all of the rebounds in the game. And they can go. And
De'Aaron Fox, even I think he finished in one of the top 5 lineups too.
Matt Ryan out, Trey Murphy out. Does that change anything for you?
Probably not, because they weren't really factored in to be there in the first place.
People want to know, what are we doing with Gordon? It's hard to say right now, right? Because, Aaron Gordon, we're not playing him because he's out. But I think I need Jamal Murray news before I really know what it is that I want to do with this team.
Yeah, not only that, but like it's not that appealing of a situation. Because again, you have to remember, like the pricing was relative. Like Jamal Murray got upgraded to questionable, but like nothing really changed in the pricing. It all changed relative to the ownership and the performance that we saw in that Clippers game. So Reggie Jackson gets a bump up. You get Michael Porter Jr. with a bump up. And now you have Jokic, the guy who commands the most touches in the NBA and should for the rest of all time. The highest estimated win share. Jokic, he's already worth 4.1 wins. We're less than 20 games in the season through. This is going to be ridiculous stuff we see from Jokic, but he has a 42.4% assist rate on the season, a 32.5% defensive rebounded percentage, 11.1% offensive rebound percentage. And then you add in the usage to bring it all together. Where did my usage go? 32.6% for Jokic. That's a little bit different playing a basketball game with him in. So I got to say, there's not a whole heck of a lot that's showing up for me other than like a shot on Reggie Jackson here or there. And that is obviously pending Jamal Murray.
Yeah, if you go ahead and look at what our projections are right now, because they're updated, the only player that we have as being remotely playable relative to their salary is Jokic. And he's very expensive. So he's the one guy who I think you could reasonably get to from this team. Nobody else stands out. Jamal Murray's $7,700. Even if he plays, it's going to be a minutes restriction. Michael Porter Jr. at $7,900. I'm not super keen to pay up that price for him with Jokic out. Like Eric said, if there is no Jamal Murray, we're going to have Jokic project for close to 70 fantasy points. That would make him look better than he does right now. And then if Jamal Murray's out, we got Reggie Jackson, $6,300 on FanDuel. It's a playable price point, but I'm not going to go and say like I want to jam in Reggie Jackson at $6,300 over on FanDuel. It's a little bit different. Michael Porter Jr. is $6,800 on FanDuel. I do like Michael Porter Jr. on FanDuel without Aaron Gordon. What do you make of the $6,800 price tag on FanDuel, Eric?
Yeah, it's fun. That's doable. That's going to be a completely different situation. I think you probably want to get yourself a little bit right now and build in some lineups that have him kind of pre-made in there. We've got him for 31.5 fantasy points over there still. So again, Jokic being back is very detrimental with tags that just came up, but sub 7K in a game environment that you obviously have exposure to already with all the Houston pieces. This is not the worst idea to get to a little bit of Mr. Michael Porter Jr. at 6,800.
Let's go ahead and see what it is we got to in the Sims here. And first, Jordan, who already knew it.
Oh my God, D'Angelo Russell, 8, 4, and 3, 4 for 4, just going ballistic. He's got 15 PRA. He's going to hit his PRA in like the first quarter for me.
What'd you say the PRA was?
22.5.
He's getting close there. He's getting close. Jordan, who has already gone ahead and isolated for us the top captain options, we're getting to kind of a spread amount of guys. We got 4 players with double-digit exposure, 3 guys north of 20%, Sabonis, Fox, Kawhi Leonard, and then Paul George. So we are liking the spend-up options on Sacramento more than the spend-up options on the Clippers. And now let's pull up the flex options.
Dude, D'Lo has 5 buckets all inside the paint. This is just insane. 10, 4, and 3. Wow.
Flex options. Keeps going down. I want to see some of the cheap guys. Oh, Malik Monk. Malik Monk showed up in 42% of lineups in the Sims here for the showdown, Eric. He was your guy.
Love Malik Monk. Love that shout out. Go team.
Oh
my God, D'Lo. What is he doing? Are you watching this game?
No, I'm doing my job.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
If you want to know what I'm actually doing, I'm trying to hold in a pee right now. I've had to pee 15 minutes into the show, and I have the bladder of a hummingbird. I have been so uncomfortable for the last hour and a half. I have to pee so bad.
I have the bladder of a hummingbird. I'm mean to Eric all the time on other shows.
What was the last part?
I'm mean to Eric on all the shows. I don't know. It's just what I thought of at the moment. Anthony Davis board. Now, Anthony Davis, can you catch up to this D'Lo madness? He has 20 PRA in the first 8 minutes of the game. Jesus.
Yeah, people.
Eric's so unprofessional. No, dude, you said no. I'm going to actually just remove you off the channel.
No, he's right. He's right.
Terrible.
We're trying.
No, he said something terrible earlier.
We're trying to talk about showdown. I'm asking who your favorite value play is, and you're like, "Are you seeing what D'Angelo Russell's doing?" No, Eric. I'm trying to build. I'm trying to build lineups for the people.
We'll go a little bit over here.
Value,
I'm with you.
And I'm trying to not pee my pants all at the same time.
Don't pee
it's
your
a lot
pants.
going on.
Pee your pants is cool. Consider
Mike saying he'll pay me
Davis.
$50. Mike saying that he'll pay me $50 to pee my pants. It would take a lot more than that. It would take a lot more than that. People in chat asked him about the status of Tari Eason. He is currently questionable unless there was an update that just came in like 5 seconds ago. And there was not. Yeah, so Tari Eason's still questionable due to rest. So we'll see what ends up happening. And by the way, I'm on Team Ouija here, not on Team Eric. If we go ahead and look at some of the other cheap options we're getting to in Showdown, Malik Monk showing up a lot here. We're also getting to Trey Lyles is a value option, and he's a very contrarian one. Trey Lyles is projected, well, not that contrarian, 22% ownership. And we're getting to him in a third of lineups. Chris Duarte, the only project for 6% ownership. We're getting him in a third of lineups. Anything else that you're noticing here?
Yeah, that's freaky because Chris Duarte could play anywhere from 7 minutes starting to like 24 or 30. The range of outcomes is wide, and he's not exactly cheap at 6,300. So in Showdown, what's most valuable from time to time when you're talking about some of these mid-range guys are people that are just getting ignored. And Duarte is, I think, rightfully getting ignored. But does 1 out of every 20 times he goes out and play, does he go out and slam early in the first 6 minutes? I think that seems about right. And so seeing 6% ownership next to him, like, yeah, it's probably a little bit too low, but he's not a high probability play.
Yeah, we have people in the chat asking about Jalen Noel. We have him projected for 0 minutes, if I'm not mistaken.
Jaden Ivey, most owned player, 0 to DK points. That's lovely because I have 0% of him. May his reign continue.
Yeah, we have Jalen Noel projected for 0 fantasy points, guys. We haven't projected for as many as Jaden Ivey has right now. And people asking what's going on with Jaden Ivey. He started the game poorly, got into foul trouble, went to the bench, and not in the game right now. By the way, that brings us to the end of the show. If you guys want to sign up for the Sims tool, which we're just using to build out some lineups for Showdown, link below in the description box. Sign up for all the tools we have at stochastic.com. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you haven't done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I got to go pee. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Jordan Klein, are you kidding me, dude?